the Denver Broncos and Seattle Seahawks. The AFC Western Division has already gone to the Raiders, and for the first time in 3 years, the Seahawks will have the holidays off. But the Denver Broncos are live tonight with a win here at the Kingdome and some help Sunday from Cleveland or Cincinnati. The Broncos will be in the playoffs once again. It's a sellout crowd, a festive air of excitement here at the Kingdome in Seattle. And we'll be back for the kickoff, the Broncos and the Seahawks, right after this. Brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store. And by Minolta, creator of the incredible Maxim Autofocus XLR, only from the mind of Minolta. We have an early starting time here on the West Coast, a 5 o'clock kickoff, so we have a late arriving crowd. Many, I suppose, not even off work yet here in the Seattle area. If we look down on the field, we can see the Denver Broncos will be receiving. Seattle to kickoff, and let's get a thought from my colleagues. First, OJ, how do you feel about the Broncos?
Well, I think the Broncos, obviously, they're the motivated team here today, but as we saw last week with Miami and New England, you can be a little uptight sometime knowing the season is on the line, but they had 5 turnovers in the first 5 minutes, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I have to go with the motivation standpoint here. Now, we know that Chuck Knox is a great motivator, but, you know, if you have a chance of making the playoffs or going home for Christmas, I got to go with the team that can make the playoffs.
You had a quick look at a dangerous speedster back for Denver, Vance Johnson. Norm Johnson gets things underway for the Seahawks. Puts it up high, booms it deep into the end zone, and it will stay there. Vance Johnson takes the touchback for Denver, and the offensive unit comes on, headed, of course, by John Elway. John Elway, his numbers are not dramatic. Passing a little over 53%, 21 touchdowns. He's had 23 interceptions. He's had 8 of them in the last 2 games, but he is a winner. An amazing winner. He'll get you into the football game. He'll keep you in the football game. Sometimes he'll scare you a little bit because he'll get you out of the football game before he gets you back again. He's that kind of a quarterback. But he has a great arm, and there's no question, barring unforeseen injury down the line, he has a tremendous future. The setback, Sammy Winder. Gerald Wilhite is in there. He missed last week with an injured ankle. This is Sammy Winder, a 1,000-yard rusher of a year ago, and he's out over the 30-yard line and very close to a Denver first down. He's hit there by Fred Young. And let's take a look at it from the end zone. Winder had a big season a year ago in the Pro Bowl, the only Bronco that was in the Pro Bowl. And right up the middle, and I think surprising Seattle a little bit on the opening play.
Well, Jeff Bryant took a hard inside rush that time, and he kind of opened the hole naturally that time for Winder.
First and 10. This is Wilhite. And he's nailed over the right side. Jeff Bryant was there. Keith Butler. Let's take a look at that defensive unit. Jacob Green with a very sore shoulder. He's had a tremendous season for the Seahawks. 11.5 sacks into tonight's game. Freddie Young, inside linebacker, leading tackler, and once again on the Pro Bowl, by the way, which was announced this past week. He jokes about it that he has been listed as an inside linebacker, but he, however, was selected once again as the special teams player for the AFC, and he will be in the Pro Bowl. Kenny Easley will not start tonight. Second game he's missed because of an ankle, and this is Wilhite once again, left side, out over the 35, and they'll mark it back inside the 35, so it'll be 3rd and long yardage, 3rd and about 6 for John Elway. Wide receivers once again are Steve Watson and Vance Johnson. And Vance Johnson, the rookie from Arizona, a tailback, OJ, when he played there, has changed the passing minds and thinking of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I think he's going to allow them to open up that offense a lot. I think they're going to use him a lot like Gary Anderson is being used down in San Diego, and the guy is certainly a big game type of player.
With a lot of speed, the rookie from Arizona, number 82. Split to the right. Elway, good protection. And there he is. That's Vance Johnson, and he gets the first down out at the 44-yard line.
You know, we mentioned that Kenny Easley's not in the game. Now, as the next quarterback, I happen to be one of those guys that like to pick on backup defensive backs. I would think that Denver would do everything they could to try and isolate Paul Moyer, the young man from Arizona State that's filling in for Kenny Easley tonight.
He played last week for them and did surprisingly well, and a tough game against the Raiders. He did surprisingly well because he was in on a lot of tackles, and that meant the Raiders were getting to him pretty good. First and 10 at the 44-yard line for the Broncos. Elway with that powerful arm, and he goes to the big tight end, Kay, and Clarence Kay inside the 40-yard line of the Seahawks, who and he had something on that football.
He had something on that football, and we happen to have number 21, Paul Moyer, who's filling in for Kenny Easley, trying to cover Clarence Kay that time. Clarence Kay is a better blocker than he is a pass receiver. He did most of his blocking at Georgia, but he's turned into a fine receiver. Here you see he runs a simple out pattern, but he's so big and strong. At 6'2", 237, he just throws Paul Moyer off him.
It was his 29th reception thus far this year. A year ago, he only had 16, so they're looking for him more frequently. This is Willite over the left side, piled up right at the line of scrimmage, hit there by Keith Butler. He's the second leading tackler behind Fred Young. Jeff Bryant also in on that stop for Seattle. Seattle, well, it's tough. This football season began back in July for these football players. You think one thing, sure, they get paid a lot of money, but you think one thing, get to the playoffs, hopefully the dream, get to the Super Bowl. Seattle will not be there. They've known how it feels because they have been there for the past 2 years, but they are playing this one strictly out of pride tonight. Denver knows they have to win it and then get help from Cincinnati or Cleveland on Sunday. Second down. Over the right side, and with showing some of that speed that we talked about, where he was a tailback and also a star of that track team down at Arizona, is Vance Johnson. He ran a 10.28 100 meters down there, fourth in the Pac-10 at one time, was an alternate as a long jumper in the Olympics. So you know he can fly, just.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. In 1982, he was the NCAA long jump champion with a jump of 26.11 inches.
Third down and 6. Watson moving. Elway had a brief glimpse of a receiver, decided against it. Perhaps those 5 interceptions a week ago against Kansas City dictated he not throw it.
Well, you know, when a quarterback has 5 interceptions the week before, I promise you he's going to be a little tentative here. Man came clean right now, Joe Nash. Good pass rush, and he didn't have a receiver open. Right now they're going to back Seattle up and give them poor field position.
To the 45-yard line, and out comes Chris Norman. Paul Scansey is back for Seattle, former Pittsburgh Steeler, with a little over a 10-yard average per return on punt. Played his collegiate football right here in the Seattle area at the University of Washington. Paul Scansey. Norman looking for the corner. He didn't get it. And Scansey makes the fair catch inside the 15-yard line. And that's where the Seattle Seahawks will begin with their first possession. The Kingdom here in Seattle. It's a beauty. Not a whole lot of cosmetics, but they build it relatively cheap. We'll be back. Seattle, Washington, and it has been foggy here for about a week. Most of the planes unable to arrive in the city. Broncos were one of the few planes that arrived yesterday. We're in the first quarter with 9:55 remaining. The Broncos, a game that they desperately need, going against the Seahawks, who couldn't care less other than surprise the Seahawks' first possession at their own 14-yard line. Dave Craig, the quarterback, and he hands off to Kurt Warner. Warner finds a little crease over the right side, and he just explodes out over the 20-yard line. About a yard short of a first down. Steve Busey took Kurt Warner out, and there's Dave Craig. He has been almost like the record of these Seahawks, inconsistently inconsistent. When he has been hot and they have won 8 games, he has passed for 64+%. When they have lost, and they have lost 7 games, he's passed for 44%. That'll tell you a lot about it, some of their inconsistencies. But they are a different football team than they were a year ago when Werner was hurt. Now with Warner back, they have gone back more to the run game. You saw why a moment ago. It's second down and 1. That's Largent. Fantastic receiver on the move, and a good play by Rulon Jones, who is on his way to the Pro Bowl against Kurt Warner. He'll drop Warner all the way back to the 21-yard line, a loss of 2. Rulon Jones and Carl Mecklenburg and Louis Wright of that defensive unit, and Dennis Smith. They're all headed for the Pro Bowl, February the 2nd, a game that we will bring you from Honolulu. It'll be third down and 3. Marked just out over the 21-yard line. Eric Lane is back there with Craig in the shotgun. We have the 4 wide receivers deployed. This is Lane. And Lane gets first down yardage. He's out near the 30-yard line, up into there by Mike Harden. But all the wide receivers deep. They needed 3 yards, dumped it off the lane, get the first down.
Yeah, smart play. You know, I like Seattle's chances here tonight. Many people were wondering just how hard they would play. Well, this is a team that its personnel will not change too much between this year and next year. All these guys are going to be playing together. They're going to see each other on the offseason. There's no pressure on them, and they know personnel-wise they're just as good as the Broncos. So I think they'll be the looser team, and I think they have an edge in this game tonight.
David Hughes, 46. Kurt Warner, 28 for the setbacks for Seattle. First down and 10. Kurt Warner. Jim Ryan was there first for Denver, the Denver Bronco defense. Through 15 games of this season, 14th in the NFL, 14th against the rush, 16th against the pass, but they are an opportunistic defense, and last week was typical against Kansas City. Even with Steve having one of the better games defensively, and John throwing the ball, the 5 interceptions, the defense kept getting the football back until they finally won over Kansas City. So it's a very opportunistic defense. Second down and 8. Craig, and wide open is Turner. Turner getting a lot of respect from Louis Wright, the veteran cornerback who was in single coverage with him. And you can well understand why. This young man now in his second year, 32 receptions this year, just under 20-yard average, and he has 12 touchdowns. Just an amazing 2 years for him.
Well, you know, having Kurt Warner in your backfield will help a wide receiver now and then. That time, Tom Jackson, the linebacker on that side, was so concerned with Warner coming out in that area, he left a heck of a lot of room out there for Turner to get open.
At the 44-yard line, first and 10, Seattle. So they get it right, and that time Turner could not hold on, but he was wide open again, this time in front of Mike Harden. And the reason they're giving him all that room is because he has that kind of deceptive speed. He really does. He sort of glides. He's wide open here, but in 2 years he's had 67 receptions into tonight with 22 touchdowns. So you want to give him a lot of respect.
This is clearly a case of a guy trying to run with the ball before he caught it. He was concerned about where the cornerback was, trying to see him out the corner of his eye, knew he had room, probably was thinking about putting a move and running with the ball, but can't do that unless you got the ball.
Largent goes up to the top of your screen. The next reception that Largent gets, he will break his own personal Seahawk record. He's into tonight with 75 receptions. Largent, that's it. 76. He not only broke his record for receptions in a single season, set an 81, he broke his single season yardage record. Into tonight with 1,222 yards, and that breaks that record. A truly remarkable young man, and hard to believe, but the Seahawks got him in their very first year by trading a 7th-round draft pick to Houston. And here he is now, over 10,000 yards, and just rolling along because he is just in his 10th year.
Tell you one thing, if David Craig threw passes like that all season, this team would be in the playoffs.
Did not look like the Dave Craig we watched, particularly in the first half against the 49ers earlier in the year. First and 10. Craig back again, looking for Turner, and Turner's there. He's been doing it for 2 years. He ran right by Louis Wright, or rather Foley.
Know how you get a safety out there trying to cover Turner. Why isn't Louis Wright out there or Mike Harden trying to cover Turner?
I tell you, Joe, they've mixed it up. They had Mike Harden one time, Steve Foley one time, Louis Wright one time, so I guess they're just trying to mix it up on him. Here's Louis.
They had him with him.
Well, this is Louis Wright.
And they were bringing Foley over from the middle, but I'll tell you, that was beautifully thrown. 2 great passes by Craig now. He hit that out to Largent just beautifully, and it just hit Darrell Turner right on stride.
Darrell Turner, 69 catches in his career, and now 23 touchdowns. It's a home run hitter.
Johnson puts it through, and Seattle, with nothing hanging on the outcome of this game except a happy holiday, has a 7-0 lead. Touchdown pass to Darrell Turner, and the Seahawks have the lead. 6:04 remaining in the first quarter. Deep for Denver. Johnson, the rookie from Arizona, number 82. He's back there with Dan Hunter, number 25. where it'll be 1st and 10. So Denver now trailing by 7 in a game that they know they have to win, and in a game in which they also know if they win, they are going to need help on Sunday from Cleveland or Cincinnati. Happy holidays, by the way.
Yeah, it's happy holidays. Hey, you know, our buddy over here, we talk about milestones tonight with Steve Largent going over 10,000 yards. This is Frank Giffords' 300th telecast.
With ABC.
With ABC Monday night.
Congratulations, bud. That's right.
Boy,
It's been a trip, I'll tell you that.
This is my 23rd. How you survived 300, buddy, I don't know. God bless you. Congratulations.
not that many people have been alive for 300 Mondays.
You've added a lot to it, both of you guys. 1st down and 10. Elway's back and just gets away from the pressure. Fires it up there, and it's complete. It goes out to Vance Johnson, who is already having quite a night here in the Kingdom. Last week, 6 receptions, 116 yards. The first Bronco receiver this year to go over 100 yards. And he has that kind of speed that you just have to respect. And, of course, we talked about his other athletic skills, the great speed. Not all that big, about 5'11", 175 pounds, but that's plenty. The first down is out over the 40-yard line.
And they needed that deep threat. You know, they had Butch Johnson doing well earlier in the season, but he slacked off a bit. Vance is in there doing a big job getting deep.
That's Willite. And he bangs out over the 42 near the 43-yard line. Gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7 as the Seagulls add to the festivities. The Kingdom now beginning to fill up. We started here on the West Coast at 5 o'clock. And I'll tell you, the people in this city, they're really not only great football fans, but they're pretty good people because they've had a week of the most dense fog you can imagine, and you could grow moss on your body out here the way it's been, and they nevertheless have been happy, cordial, and we're delighted to be back among them. It's 2nd down and 7. Running by Winder. Winder inside Seattle territory near the 49-yard line, up into there by Jacob Green, who took Winder by coming across in the pursuit. Very close to a 1st down, and I think we're going to have the measurement. Our referee tonight is Chuck Heberling. Kingdom is sold out, as it always has been since they opened back in 1976 when this became an expansion franchise, and that is a 1st down.
Well, tonight the Broncos really want to establish a running game. As you know, Elway has thrown 8 interceptions in the last 2 games. They want to take some of the pressure offering. They felt Gerald Wilhite was coming back. That would help. Gerald has a lifetime average of over 7 yards a carry against the Seahawks, but he had a bad ankle. He's missed 3 games, and he's left the field already. His ankle seems to be bothering him.
Dan Reeves has been hurting all year for running backs. Elway had too much on that. Winder could have caught it, but that thing just had too much zip for him. Right now, Dan Reeves has Nathan Poole out there, who's been around for quite a while. Not in terms of years, but Nathan Poole, the running back he's had in the lineup a moment ago, has been, well, he was with Seattle earlier. He's been with Cincinnati, Toronto, and Denver even once before. And there, of course, is Chuck Knox, who has won divisions with the Rams. He won a division, of course, with Buffalo. Had the Seattle Seahawks for the past 2 years in the playoffs. No coach has done that. 3 different teams into the playoffs. 2nd down and 10. Elway, Watson, and Steve Watson, who has quietly put together a rather remarkable career in his 7 years. Gets 5 yards short of the 1st down, and now they'll mark it at the 46, so it's going to be 3rd down and 6.
So far tonight, John Elway is not throwing the ball, I'm sure, the way he'd like to throw it. He's throwing the ball behind his receivers a little bit, and that's the reason right now they're in a 3rd down and 6 situation. But he does have open receivers. It's interesting to me to note that in their first game against Seattle, John he only averaged 3.9 yards per pass attempt, and his longest pass was completed for only 14 yards against the Seattle Seahawks. So they may have John Elway's number.
3rd down 6. Elway in trouble.
They do this
That's
time.
Jacob Green. 2nd sack of Elway, and just about the same area. And just when Denver gets into Seattle territory, they get the big sack.
Now, this is all speed by Jacob Green. Jacob, in the 2nd half of this season, he has really turned it on. This is his 12th sack of the season. He has had 7 forced fumbles. He's even scored 2 touchdowns. I don't know what else you want from a defensive end.
Had himself a blocked field goal. The 6th-round draft pick. Scansey is back. Norman to punt for Denver. Keith Bishop provides a snap. A little movement along the line, but the Seahawks got back. Beautiful punt by Norman. Scansey once again at the 6-yard line goes for the fair catch, and maybe the second time you could question the judgment of Scansey. A moment ago he did it out at the 11-yard line on an end-over-end punt that for sure would have carried into the end zone. Broncos, they need a win tonight to stay alive in the playoff picture. They're staying alive for a wild card possibility. They need a win tonight, and they need either Cincinnati to defeat New England or Cleveland to defeat the Jets. So they are alive, but they are trailing 7-0. The Seattle Seahawks, of course, out of the playoff picture. From the 7-yard line, Seattle 1st and 10. Kurt Warner. Warner looks back inside and just bursts out over the 10-yard line near the 11-yard line. He'll get 4 out of that. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Reuben Carter made the stop. The Seahawks leading 7-0 over the Broncos. As I mentioned a moment ago, a very important game for the Broncos. They need this to stay alive, and then they have to watch the games this weekend for the help that they might get from Cleveland and Cincinnati. 2nd down and 6. Fine running by Warner out to the 18-yard line for the 1st down. Tom Jackson tripped him up there. Of course, Warner with that much celebrated knee operation of a year ago. He came up as a rookie and just had a fabulous year. Over 1,400 yards, 4.3 average. Did everything you'd want from a running back. Had the big play, the 60-yard run, but it has really fallen off this year. He's over 1,000 yards, but it's not the same Kurt Warner. You get the feeling that given another year it will be. He had major reconstruction of the knee, and we're going to take an in-depth look at the knee in football at halftime. Very interesting. I think you'll want to see it. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. This is David Hughes. And Hughes out close to the 24-yard line. Gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4 once again. So the Seahawks getting good yardage on 1st down plays. Well, they have been very consistent. The fact that they are inconsistent, that really is amazing, isn't it? So if you follow the pattern, you would expect a loss tonight. The Seahawks, however, don't feel that way about it. And at the moment, they lead 7-0. Warner over the 30-yard line. And that will be another Seattle 1st down. Tomorrow on ABC's Wide World of Sports, America's Olympic boxing medalists continue to battle in the professional ranks. Mark Breland, Tyrell Biggs, and Evander Holyfield, all undefeated, will fight live except here on the West Coast. The exciting action begins tomorrow at a special time now. That'll be 4 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 3 o'clock Central. Breland's record 7-0, 4 KOs. Biggs, his record 6-0, 5 KOs. Holyfield's pro record 7-0 with 4 KOs, and they came out of the Olympics and they have just kept right on going. Time is running out here in the 1st quarter. And as the final seconds expire, the Seattle Seahawks hear it from the hometown crowd. They have a 7-0 lead over the 2nd quarter. The Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. And I know there are some very interested parties in the AFC East watching tonight, because should Denver lose tonight, the 3 contenders there, Miami and New England and the Jets, would all automatically know that they were in the playoffs. The division would still be up for grabs, but they would all qualify for the playoffs for the Denver loss tonight. 1st and 10 Seattle. They're at the 32-yard line. Dave Craig, that's Largent. And Largent to the 43-yard line. 1st down.
Steve does it so well. I know Coach Scholler mentioned last week about Moore, the receiver from Miami, and Charlie Joyner. Steve Largent's one of these guys. His awareness out on the football field and knowing where the defensive players are going is so important. Steve doesn't beat you with the speed all the time, but knowing how to run patterns and where to go to get open is his forte.
1st and 10 is at the 43-yard line. Seattle continues to try to work that left side of their line, the right side of Denver, and Warner gets 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
You know, you're talking about a guy like Largent's ability to look at the defense and read the defense. I've always felt that as a runner, the one position I could really coach on the football field would be linebackers. And I would think the same would hold true for the great receivers. They would probably be able to coach defensive backs better than they could wide receivers. Because you got to understand them to be able to excel.
We could extrapolate from there that you perhaps are a great runner. What a little out there. Oh, Craig gets it off and gets it to Dan Ross. Ross down around the 46-yard line has the first down, and Craig was in trouble back there. Rulon Jones was pressuring Craig, but Craig was able to get the pass off. Pick it up in progress. Ball batted away, as a matter of fact. Rick Dennison got a paw on it, but Dan Ross, the former Pro Bowler from Cincinnati, who left to play a couple of years in the USFL, came back to Cincinnati early this season and then was traded to Seattle, gets the catch. Largent out of the backfield. David Hughes. And Hughes gets inside the 40-yard line before he's drilled out of bounds by Mark Harden.
Hey, this is really a beautifully played football game so far. We played 17 minutes and change. We haven't had a fumble, an interception, or a penalty even yet in this game. These two football teams are really concentrated.
Hughes got 6 out of that. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
Well, historically, that's the way Chuck Knox teams will beat you. Not making any mistakes, playing somewhat conservative, even though today they seem to have opened it up a little bit. They have nothing to lose.
Craig looks like he's changing off, and the Broncos change off defensively. Craig got that off with 1 second left on the 32nd play. Largent had it in his hands, and just as you made that comment, Joe, we get a flag.
Yeah, and Steve dropped the pass he should have caught. We won't see him drop very many passes.
And you can tell from Craig that that's going to work against Denver. Illegal use of hands against the Denver Broncos.
Well, that's strange. Where they threw that flag was in the area of pass protection, and they called it against the Broncos, the illegal use of hands. That's a strange call.
Illegal use of the hands, number 79 on the defense. 5 yards, first down.
Arnie Chavis over the defensive left end for the Denver Broncos was detected with the illegal use of hands, and Seattle keeps their drive alive, and they're inside the 35-yard line of the Broncos. Broncos, if they give up another 7, they're going to have to start getting a little nervous. The only shot they have for the playoffs is to win tonight. Seattle has been able to move the ball both in the air and on the ground tonight. Flea flicker coming up. Turner, the intended receiver. Turner had a right in his hand. Steve Foley was defending, but I don't think Foley touched it. And Turner very well could have had his 2nd touchdown of the night. The old flea flicker, we see so much of it now.
Yeah, well, earlier I mentioned Steve Foley was trying to cover Turner, and I was incorrect. Louis Wright was on him, but this time Foley is, and I don't understand why. Turner is the big play man, and Foley, being a safety, is just not going to be able to keep up with Turner.
Foley just perhaps destroying the concentration of Turner. Did not look as though he had the deflection. It's 2nd down and 10. 4 wide receivers stay on the field for the Seahawks. The one back, that is Eric Lane. They like to use him out of the backfield as a receiver. And he's a fine blocker to stay in and work on linebackers if he has to. Craig, Turner again drops the ball. Louis Wright was sprinting with Turner. But Turner, in all probability, could have got the first down out of it. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Well, I must say, Turner has come up with some big plays, obviously. 23 touchdowns and 69 receptions of his career, but he does have a reputation of dropping the ball a few times, so I don't think he'll ever be a bread and butter receiver, but as long as he can get it in the end zone, I think they'll Chuck Knox will keep him around.
And I think also, you know, we've talked statistics all year long, and this is a good example. The last 2 plays where statistics don't always tell the truth. 2 incompletions, credit to David Craig, and he threw 2 strikes. Should have been completed pass.
Actually 3, and they were all dropped by Turner. Otherwise, he'd be perfect tonight. 3rd Let's take it from a split screen, and you watch it when Craig releases that ball just as number 80, who really spins Louis Wright, makes the move to the outside. That's a brilliant move by the receiver, and great timing with the quarterback. Did you ever have a receiver that worked like that with you? I know you didn't. That's why I asked.
I was fortunate to have a couple of them. One of them was one of those fellas that received passes for over 10,000 yards, and a future Hall of Famer, I hope, a guy named Don Maynard. And the other was the most disciplined receiver I ever worked with, George Sauer Jr. What an outstanding receiver he was.
Much like Steve Largent. First down and 10. Craig looking for it all. And off the fingertips, that time good coverage by Mike Hart. He was right there. Had Craig tried to keep that in bounds, it would have been deflected or intercepted. Clock stops with 12:29 remaining here in the first half. Seattle leading over Denver in a game that Denver must win 7-0. We'll be in Los Angeles, providing we can get out of Seattle. And there are a few people leaving Seattle, I can assure you. So we'll be there to bring you that one in. Well, depending upon what happens this weekend, both of these teams could be playing for home field advantage. The Rams, of course, are in the playoffs. We know they're going to play Dallas in the first round, but where is still up for grabs. We won't know that until Monday night. And there's Eric Dickerson to consider. There's Marcus Allen, that great Raider defense, and a defense that has really come back for the Rams. We're looking forward to it. We hope you're with us. Second down and 10. Warner to the outside. Good open field tackle by Foley.
And talking about home field advantage, you don't know how important that is, considering the Raiders playing at home if they win the game, or having to go to Miami eventually. I don't think anybody, after seeing what Miami did with, well, just about everybody who ever shows up in the Orange Bowl, especially Chicago this year, no one wants to go down there and have to play in the playoffs.
And of course, Buffalo will be down there against Miami on Sunday.
Go Buffalo. Fly in the ointment.
Miami can wrap it all up with their win over Buffalo.
Buffalo, give them a game.
We'll try to straighten the playoff picture out for you at halftime as we watch a 3rd and 9 for the Seahawks. Good defensive play. Fine defensive play. Randy Robbins, second-year man out of Arizona, got the deflection and then batted it out of the hands just as it was about to become a reception once again. Out comes the field goal unit. That means Norm Johnson. We've not had a Norm Johnson year. A year ago, he was in the Pro Bowl with 20 of 24. He struggled through much of the season for Seattle this year. He is 13 of 23 on the year, but he is 9 of his last 13 over the past 7 weeks. He has only one 40-yarder this season, and he's missed 7 of them from inside 50 yards. This will be 29. Yes, letter perfect. And the Denver Broncos are getting in deep trouble. They trail 10-0. The early going here of the second quarter. We'll be back. Is being brought to you by Plymouth, a division of Chrysler Corporation. Plymouth, the pride is back, born in America again. And we are back in the Kingdome in Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks leading Denver 10-0, and they are playing it almost letter perfect offensively. Had Darrell Turner caught 3 passes that he dropped, the Denver Broncos would be in much deeper trouble than they already are. I'll repeat again, Denver, to stay alive in the playoff picture, must win tonight and then get help on Sunday from either Cleveland or Cincinnati. Norm Johnson puts it in the air for Seattle. Vance Johnson at the 5-yard line. Good running by Johnson. He's out over the 25 near the 28-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for Denver. Denver has been able to move the ball, but each time they have moved into Seattle territory, they have suffered a sack by the Seahawks, and they have been forced into the punting situation. Elway 4-5 for 49 yards. Broncos have been hurt at the running back position. Early in the year, it was the defensive back situation that troubled Dan Reeves. Wilhite has gone out of tonight's game with a slight sprain of the knee, but he has come back into the lineup a couple of times. Steve Sewell is in there now, the rookie from Oklahoma. That's Sewell right there. And a fake reverse on that wasn't even much of a fake, because the reverse man was past Sewell by the time he had an opportunity to put the fake on. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
And it was a good defensive read by number 77, Jeff Bryant, the right defensive end.
Nathan Poole. And the much-traveled Poole around the National Football League and the CFL. Gets about 5 out of that. Out over the 35. It'll be 3rd down and 2. John Harris was there defensively to make the stick for Seattle.
Actually, Joe, normally I would agree with you that the team that has the most at stake would win. But in this case, we're not looking at a team like some of the teams I played in where we knew half the guys would be gone next year. All of these guys on Seattle, the majority of them will be back next year. They knew they had a little off season, a little off year, I should say. And they're going to play the best ball they can play tonight, and they're the looser team.
It's a long 2. And swarming defense over Nathan Poole. Right at the line of scrimmage, and the punt unit comes out again. And this time, Seattle will get the ball back much more quickly.
I'll be highly disappointed if the looser team excels and succeeds over the team that wants it the most.
Well, you got a case of soda water on it, Joe.
Out of the offensive line for the Broncos, that pass series with Keith Bishop went out holding his hand, and Winford Hood came in as we look at Scansey deep for Seattle. Chris Norman gets it blocked right into the arms of the Seattle Seahawks. That's Terry Taylor. It took a perfect Seattle bounce.
Let's make that 2 cases.
Looks like I may be highly disappointed. I'm still not counting them out.
The first-round draft pick of a year ago, the cornerback who became a starter a year ago, takes it in for the touchdown. I'm not sure who got the block. We'll see if we can pick it up for you. Times they have blocked either punt or field goal. They lead the NFL in that department. They're second in takeaways only to the Chicago Bears. They've been opportunistic this season. Their problem has been they have given a lot away. Johnson puts the uprights. Let's take a look at it again. We still have not really defined who it was that blocked it. There it is, number 51. It was Merriman. We didn't want to credit him too early, but he got in there. And a 15-yard return by Terry Taylor. So now Dan Reeves and the Broncos will go to the drawing board, and they'll go there in desperation. They are down 17-0. Crowd is really in a festive mood tonight, even though the Seahawks will not be going to the playoffs. They've got their wave rolling. They got the noise, and there perhaps is no more noisy stadium in the entire National Football League than the Kingdome, and the crowd really gets into it. And they have taken a 17-0 lead in a game that the Broncos must win if their playoff hopes are to remain alive. Vance Johnson is back. Number 30, Steve Sewell, is back there with him. Norm Johnson to kick off. I think whatever ammunition that Dan Reeves has in his offensive barrel, he's going to roll out now. Vance Johnson looks back inside, nothing doing on the outside, and he's upended at the 20-yard line. Reminder, ABC's college football action begins Monday night, December the 30th, with the Gator Bowl featuring the Florida State Seminoles taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, last year's Gator Bowl winners. And on January 1st, the Sugar Bowl kicks off with the second-ranked Miami Hurricanes hoping for a national title. They square off against the Southeast Conference champion, that, of course, number 8 ranked Tennessee. Both games begin live at 8 o'clock Eastern, and they'll be seen right here on ABC Sports. The bowl picture here on ABC. First and 10, Denver. Elway had to throw it away, and he finally gets it upfield. Had it in the arms of Kay, but it's incomplete.
Now that was an incredible pass.
It was an incredible situation he got himself in.
Would have been even more incredible had Kay caught the ball. It was right in his hand.
And close to a first down. John Elway, the leading rusher among quarterbacks in the NFL with over 250 yards. You can see why. He wears a tremendous knee brace, one like you wore, Joe, and I think it must be difficult for him to dance around out there like he does. But look at this. Had it right there.
He threw a strike. You know, those braces, they are restrictive to a degree, but really not that much. You can move around. Just takes a little while to get used to them. I wouldn't recommend a running back using that size brace, but a quarterback certainly can get away with it.
Shotgun, second and 10. Elway in trouble. Out of it again. Flag is down. That's Butch Johnson with the football. But again, a flag is down at the 30-yard line. Might have even had illegal man downfield.
I really believe Elway feels more at home playing like this than he does when he's getting a lot of protection, because this is the way he played for 4 years at Stanford.
Hey, you know, the last 9 games, they've been outscored in the third quarter of 54, well, last 8 weeks anyway. They better start throwing the ball. Forget the running game. He should get in that shotgun and just start throwing the rock. They're 17 points down now.
This works against Seattle for them also. Referee again tonight is Chuck Heberling. And here's the call.
Face mask, 5 yards, number 24. Penalty is declined. First down.
Terry Jackson, they detected with the face mask.
It seems like a face mask is one of those penalties that should be tacked on, you know. I mean, regardless of the situation, you should add on to the gain. If it's a face mask penalty, it's a personal foul.
It's marked up near midfield, 29-yard gain. First and 10, Denver. Steve Watson in motion. Here comes the blitz. Sewell cut right back into it. He'll squeak out a yard. It'll be second down and 9. Steve Sewell has been a real fine rookie for Denver. Number 1 draft pick out of Oklahoma. Does a lot of good things. Phil Moyer now goes down, and this is something we speculated on earlier as we look at them attending Phil Moyer, who was in the lineup tonight for Kenny Easley, who's been able to go for the past few weeks with a bad ankle. So they are down to a rookie, Gene Robinson, to play at the strong safety. We'll be back in a minute. Really gave him a bell ringing. Terry Jackson in the lineup, number 24, as Gene Robinson, the rookie Colgate, also comes in. Second down and 8. The Broncos trailing 17-0 halfway through the second quarter. Pressure again on Elway, and a flag goes down. Now 2 flags, and Elway is sacked for the 3rd time, and we could also have holding. Little flaring of the tempers here, keeping with the spirit of the holidays, I presume. Huh? It will be holding. Denver in deep trouble. They really are. They know the season is over if they lose it tonight. And Seattle has come out, and they have been in high gear from the very opening play, particularly offensively. And it could be a lot worse had Turner been able to hold on to 3 other passes.
Holding, number 70. Offense, penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
Penalty declined because of the sack, and there was a loss of 7 yards on the sack. Again, this is what we've been talking about. Denver could get the help from Cleveland and get the help from Cincinnati in those games that we played on Sunday, and they could win tonight. They would be a wild card. 3rd down and 16. Elway wants a bundle of it. Butch Johnson was down there deep, but running right with him was Dave Brown, and there was never a threat. So out comes the punting unit once again. That means Chris Norman. Talk about the playoff picture at halftime. Talk about the Jets. They're going to meet Cleveland. The Jets will be in the playoffs if they defeat Cleveland on Sunday, or if the Broncos lose tonight, or the Patriots lose. Additionally, they'll win the division title if they defeat Cleveland, and the Dolphins lose to Buffalo. So many options working for the Jets, as there are for all of those AFC Eastern teams. Norman puts it up high. Scansey from the 15-yard line. And hit out at the 19-yard line by a very good hustle by Simon Fletcher. 41-yard punt by Norman. Seattle has it deep in their own territory, but they have been able to move the ball ever so easily tonight. We'll be back for you. There's always an occupation beyond football.
Resembles Nitschke a little bit, huh? Talk about old great linebackers.
Raymond. 7:16 now remaining here in the second quarter. 17-0 Seattle. They have the ball near their own 18-yard line. And they have total command of this game thus far as Kurt Warner moves out to the 20-yard line for a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8. He was stopped there by Rulon Jones and Reuben Carter. And we're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves.
You're watching KOMO TV4.
The Kingdome in Seattle. Seattle has been fogged in now for about a week. Very few planes getting in or out. We hopefully are going to be able to get out, get down to Los Angeles to bring you the Rams and the Raiders on Monday night. We'll get there some way. It was quite a trip getting here. Seattle with a 2nd down and 8. Craig is back, looks upfield, and dumps it off to Warner. And Kurt Warner steps out of bounds near the 25-yard line. A gain of 4, and it'll be 3rd down and 4 as Louis Wright was there defensively for Denver.
You know, Denver's got to change their style here. Now, we've seen Craig consistently hitting his wide receivers and backs out of the backfield. And Denver's got to put pressure on Craig. I don't know. I think they're just going to have to start blitzing the linebackers more than they have been, trying to get some kind of pressure on Craig to get him to throw off stride or throw out of rhythm. Right now, throwing on rhythm and not getting any pressure, he's picking Denver apart.
3rd down and 4 from the shotgun. Dave Craig is back. In and out of the hands of Byron Walker. Craig had a little too much on that to handle. But he was under pressure, and the punting unit will come out.
That's right. He had to throw that ball a split second too early, and Walker wasn't quite ready for that pass, and that's the reason. A split second we're talking about, a half a second or a 1/10 of a second, just a little bit early, and Byron Walker was not ready to receive the ball.
Mecklenburg was part of that pressure. You saw him there, a Pro Bowler for Denver. And a man who can play just about every position you want defensively. He has played 7 different spots all along the line and linebacker for the Broncos this season. Finzer is on to punt. Vance Johnson is back. Now Denver should get the ball back in relatively good field position. Whoa! And Finzer has caught a thing of beauty on the 21-yard line. And fine running by Vance Johnson. He looks better every time we watch him. Johnson out over the 35 near the 37-yard line. So Denver will start in pretty good field position. Paul Moyer, we understand, the free safety that was shaken up. And the Seahawks are hurting defensively in their secondary. Has a pinched nerve in the neck. They do not know whether he'll be back tonight or not. And that's where we're trying to get. Again, the Raiders and the Rams, both of them strong defensively. And with 2 of the great backs in the history of this game, Marcus Allen with the Raiders and Eric Dickerson with the Rams. And they could, both of them, be playing for home field advantage. We'll know after the weekend. Elway wants another one. Tries it deep again, and Sampson comes down with the football. Fine catch by Sampson. He was perfectly covered by Dave Brown. The ball thrown just a little short, and so often the receiver has the edge of that battle.
You know, I mentioned Don Maynard earlier in the telecast. We were talking about guys over 10,000 yards. Some receivers can adjust to an underthrow pass. Maynard was one of them. Right now, Sampson does a great job of adjusting to this pad and making a great catch.
That was just a sensational catch by Quinn Sampson. You see it just a little better maybe from this reverse angle, the camera across the field. No better position could you want from Dave Brown, the veteran cornerback. And it was just Quinn Sampson determining he was going to get that football. 46-yard pickup. Elway had to throw that one away. And that's what got him in trouble a week ago against Kansas City, throwing it away and into a crowd when he had those 5 interceptions. And the intended receiver there was Wilhite. Keith Butler was all over Wilhite.
You know, when the game first started, Denver had some success running the ball. What they were running was sort of modified draw plays, even from the high, delay plays to try to take advantage of these defensive linemen of the Seahawks running upfield. I think they should go back to that, maybe run one of those quick draws, not a slow draw, but a real quick draw.
Watson and Sampson split right by the Broncos. 2nd and 10. Elway with a lot of time, and his receiver, Mike Barber, fell down in the end zone. He was wide open. And as Elway released the ball, Mike Barber, the former Ram, slipped and fell. Oh, and Elway was sick. He knew he had him wide open. You'll see at just the end of it here. Ball is on its way. And down goes Barber, and he was so open.
There's a seam about 2 yards deep in the end zone that Barber hit that time. It runs across the length of the football field, and it's about 2 inches deep, and I'm pretty sure that's what Barber hit.
5:16 remaining here in the first half. Denver trying to get on the scoreboard. They trail 17-0 in a game they must win. Again, pressure on Elway. He steps out of the pocket. Shot into the end zone, and Steve Watson comes down with a touchdown, Denver. And Elway can do so many things for you.
I tell you, he's at his best when he is struggling, and this ball is a bullet as we look at Watson work.
Few quarterbacks would have got out of that traffic. He steps inside and then steps outside and has got the good eyes looking downfield, and Watson made a great catch.
And strength to get the ball there, too. If that ball had not been thrown with such velocity, it would have been intercepted or incomplete.
Watson had to catch it in self-defense. Carlos for the conversion. So Denver gets on the track. They put up 7. And they trail 17-7 with 5:08 remaining. Just under 5,000 yards. Free agent out of Temple 7 years ago. He has really been something over the past 4 years.
I'll tell you, if I was the Broncos, I'd think for the rest of this game, I'd let one rusher through and tell Elway, pretend you're in trouble and run around.
I like that idea. That's right. First of all, the secondary, as we pointed out, of this Seattle Seahawks bunch is hurting. I mean, they only have 5 guys left, and 2 of those 5 are hurt.
But the guys who are in there are doing a good job, because on their initial coverage, they got the guys covered. It's when Elway starts running around that they get in trouble.
Well, the front 3 of Jacob Green, Jeff Brown, Joe Nash, they've been getting some pretty good pressure on Elway early. At least they were early in the first quarter. Now it's slacked off a little bit.
I'll tell you, by the end of the game, it'll really slack off. You get somebody who runs around like that, they can really wear your linemen down. Here comes Randall Morris out for the Seahawks. Morris with a fine return. He's out close to the 33-yard line before he's tripped up. But if you chase a quarterback like Elway all day long, you tend to run down a little bit, even though we're indoors. The temperature is just perfect. Let's watch again now. Those big defensive linemen. Jacob Green over in the left side. Now he has to expend a lot of energy getting away from the block. Now he's in pursuit. Elway drifts out. Now watch the arm. He really put something on that.
That's very discouraging for a defensive lineman. Jacob Green really beat his man cleanly. Got a beat on the quarterback and have him step out and then throw a touchdown pass.
And by the fourth quarter, you are exhausted. 1st and 10. David Hughes, left side. And Hughes gets 5 out of that. He's out close to the 39-yard line. Ken Woodard on the stop. And right about this point in a ball game, Denver, well, you almost, sort of characteristic of them, they look for a big play from their defensive unit. They look for that turnover, the interception, the fumble, Mecklenburg knocking the ball loose, Rulon Jones blindsiding the quarterback, Louis Wright with the interception, Steve Foley there, and they've been getting it for years. 2nd down and 5. Craig underneath to Warner. The ball is loose. Frank. And Seattle covers it. But back at the 40-yard line, Warner was up there very close to a first down.
And that was a good read by Dave Craig. Denver switched up a little bit. They've doubled the outside receivers that time, so Craig smartly came to his under receiver, Warner, and he took a good lick that time.
Yeah, and it's rare that you see a great back take a lick like that, but one of the problems the Seahawks have had from midseason on is that they feel Kurt Warner just got tired. You know, he had a bad injury in the offseason. He worked 8 hours a day to get back in shape, so at this time of the year, he's just a little run down. Normally, he wouldn't take shots like that.
On 3rd and 3. And the blitz was on. And more than that, Rulon Jones was right in the face of Dave Craig. He had to just hurry that ball out to Eric Lane, incomplete. And Denver now becoming a little more solid defensively. Out comes the punting unit once again for Seattle. And back goes Vance Johnson. Denver would dearly love to hang some more points up there before they go in at halftime. It was looking a little bleak when they were down 17-0. .3:27 remaining in the half, and once again Denver should have relatively good field position. And this time Finzer does not turn it over. Fair catch called for and made by Vance Johnson up over the 25-yard line, just about the 27. 34-yard punt that time by Finzer. Seen it all in the 5 years with the Rams. He was a divisional champion 5 times, and he took the Bills to the playoffs twice in the 5 years he was there. Took him 1 year to get Seattle in the playoffs. So he's had 3 different teams in the playoffs over the years. On 1st and 10 now. Denver looking for points. Flag goes down. Elway goes down also, so we could have holding, but it was Jacob Green again sacking John Elway.
Tell you, Billy Bryan just could not keep Jacob Green off the quarterback. Jacob just punished young Billy.
Billy did everything he can do too, Joe.
You watch him get on Billy. He keeps pushing Billy back. Right here, number 64, number 79 on him. Billy looks like a retreat.
Watch this spin.
Looks like they're engaged. That is contact. Of course, Bryan was pulling out a little bit from the center. He never really got any kind of an edge, and Jacob Green just would not let up on him. Penalty, of course, declined because of the loss. The penalty was holding against the Broncos. So it's 2nd down and 20. Elway underneath. This is Sewell. And the rookie from Oklahoma gets all of the lost yardage back on the sack and adds on a couple more, so it'll be 3rd down and 8. John Harris was there defensively for the Seahawks. 1st round draft pick. Sewell out of Oklahoma.
Take a look at this. All these guys drafted ahead of Don Mattingly. 3 guys starting in the NFL drafted in the baseball draft in 1 year. That's a little unusual. You only have 3 guys drafted in 1 year in football that are starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Elway, of course, drafted by the Yankees and gave it a lot of consideration. Tries to get it out to Sampson. It's incomplete, and the punting unit will come on for Denver. Terry Taylor was there defensively, but Elway just underthrew that.
Yeah, John just missed him that time. He didn't have the kind of protection you'd like to throw. He had to throw it a little early, and he just missed him. I'm sure John wished he had another chance at throwing that ball, because he did have a chance to get it to him.
2:13 remaining here in the first half. At halftime, we're going to try and shed a little light on the playoff picture in case you have not been following it closely. And if you have, you probably don't have a clue, because it is really complex, although it's shaking out a little bit. We're going to have Dr. Tim Johnson with a report and a look at the knee and the knee problem in football. And that time off the side of Chris Norman's foot. A very poor kick, and Seattle is going to be in great shape. They have 3 timeouts remaining, and there is 2:06 on the clock. So Norman puts it out of bounds at the 45-yard line. A 16-yard net on that.
The snap from the center was almost as bad as the kick. The ball dribbled back to him, and I think he just rushed the kick.
Well, you know, the one that was blocked was a high snap. I think Keith Bishop may have overcompensated a little bit, and that's why we had the low snap. He probably felt like the first one was too high, which it was. Norman had to jump up and get it. Overcompensation. Threw the ground ball that time.
And at halftime, we're also going to be talking with Marcus Allen. The Raiders shed a little insight on the game that we'll be bringing you Monday night. The Raiders and the Rams from Los Angeles. 1st and 10. Craig is back. And tries to go to Dan Ross, the tight end. He was double covered there. Dennis Smith was there. Ken Woodard, the linebacker, was back in. Actually, Craig just threw it away. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And there's Dan Reeves. Came up a free agent quarterback out of South Carolina many years ago, back about 65, I believe, and turned into an all-purpose running back by Tom Landry, and coached down there for nearly a decade under Tom Landry before coming to the Broncos 5 years ago. Came in 81, has been in the playoffs the last couple of years, and was the divisional champion last year at 13-3. They desperately love to get back in there again this year, and they have to win to even have any possibility. They have to win tonight. Turner again. Contact made there by Dennis Smith, but there is no flag, and the crowd would love one. Almost demanding one. And Chuck Knox thought he should have had one.
Sure, I think everyone wearing blue thought they should have had one, but the guys in white felt like it was a good job. Right here, we'll see it on the replay. Our reverse angle, and the ball is overthrown. And right now, the receiver, Turner, slowing down. Turner's the one. Now, 49, the new rules explain this year that if you're looking back at the football, you can go ahead and make contact there. And that's exactly what Dennis Smith was doing that time, looking back for the football.
We'll be back at the Kingdom in just a moment. Here in the first half, 17-7. The Seahawks over the Broncos in a game the Broncos must win. And Craig will go down. Simon Fletcher. Second-round draft pick out of the University of Houston. All over Craig. Craig trying again to get it deep to Turner. And again, good coverage downfield, and the sack is back to the 45-yard line. I've talked about the fog. Many of us were stuck all over different parts of the western part of the United States. Many of our cameramen and our crew drove all the way from San Francisco to get here. You just couldn't get a flight. Portland all was backed up because all the planes put down there. I wound up out in Spokane with about a 6-hour drive last night. Joe just got in a short while ago. OJ had no problem. Just came flying right in.
Yeah, right into it. We couldn't land at the normal airport. We landed at the Boeing airport, which is about 15 minutes closer to town. Travel with me, fellas.
Yeah, I landed at Portland, and I took a 3-hour drive up this afternoon. It was a nice drive.
But I'll tell you, some of our technicians really went through it yesterday and the day before to get here, and we are concerned about many of them getting back down to the LA area because it has been absolutely socked in here for about a week.
You know, that defensive stand that the Denver Broncos just made may have been one of their most important defensive stands of the season. They can either get a score now or go in at halftime just 10 points down, and that is a heck of a lot better than going in from another score. I mean, that punt, that bad snap in the punt, giving the field position to Seattle as they did this last series, could have really put Denver in a hole.
Spencer hits it for Seattle and hits a beauty. Wilhite is back there. Wilhite found a little bit of a gap and gets out over the 20 to the 21-yard line with 1:41 remaining here in the first half. Again, halftime, we're going to be visiting with Marcus Allen, who's had just an absolutely tremendous year, the leading rusher in the NFL with over 1,600 yards, all-purpose yardage over 2,000. Not bad. Another USC tailback.
Is that my shirt you got on, man?
But he has had a great year, and so has that Raider defense, and they're going up against the Rams on Monday night in the city championship, if you will. And at stake there also might very well be, depending upon the play this weekend, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. First and 10, Elway is back. They have 3 timeouts. Steve Sewell, the rookie from Oklahoma. Or rather, the Broncos now down to 2 timeouts. Flag comes down very late, and a fight breaks out. Well, right in the middle of it is Keith Bishop with a whole bunch of little Seahawks.
I tell you, Terry Taylor could easily get kicked out of this game because once the officials had arrived, he continued to throw punches. And normally that's the big no-no. That's the no-no that would get you kicked out of a football game.
Yeah, the second guy. Usually the first guy that starts it doesn't get caught, but the guy retaliating is the one that gets called for it.
That flag came right in there. I think somebody was picked up on the very first shot. Jacob Green trying to calm Terry Taylor down now. Broncos with 2 timeouts. There's 1:28 remaining.
Well, Taylor looked like Mancho Camacho there. I mean, he shot about 9 quick ones in there. Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah, but he couldn't take his man out, I understand.
That's a good way to break 9 knuckles.
Terry didn't take his man out either.
And it will work against Terry Taylor. Chuck Knox on the sidelines. He's paced them so successfully for 13 years. Terry, calm down. Let's get this thing going.
Well, if Denver could get on the board this series of downs, what a tremendous lift it would be to them emotionally coming out the second half.
Denver has the ball now at their own 44-yard line. They have the 2 timeouts, and they have 1:28 on the clock. And Elway has proved over and over that he can really work the clock. And I don't know how many times in his short career he has brought the Broncos back from defeat or brought them ever so close by keeping late drives at the half or the game alive. We will not on this particular one, however. Jeff Bryant is there, and this Seattle defense all along, Jacob Green, Bryant, Nash, they have been pressuring Elway all night long.
Well, I'll tell you, I thought Dave Studdard was beaten before the snap of the ball. Actually should have called a penalty on him for illegal motion. He was on his heels backing up, and he got caught off balance, and that's why Bryant ran right past him.
Clock is moving, 1:15, and it's still moving. And flags are down. That was Ken Lanier, the right tackle for Denver, moving.
And that penalty was definitely caused by the fact that Green, Jacob Green, Jeff Bryant are just simply beating these guys off the ball. Denver must do something to help these offensive linemen out. They're going to either change the account or, you know, you were speaking about that once before, Joe. Elway must do something to help this offensive lineman. These guys are just beating them off the ball.
Well, we've only seen Denver throw one screen pass so far, and that was the very first play of this series. The quick draws they ran with some success earlier. They haven't run a draw recently in one screen this whole series. So
second down and 25. This could get you in a lot of trouble if you try something dramatic and it backfires down here. The completion is out to about the 35-yard line. Vance Johnson looking for some running room. He couldn't find anything. The Seahawks defense closes in at the 36, so it's still third down at 18. That's the time remaining in the first half. Elway gets the ball to Sampson. He bounces off a would-be tackler and gets almost into field goal range, and he could well be. And the Broncos will use one of their timeouts.
really a smart move by John Elway, stepping up into the pocket and then getting to the outside. OJ, you alluded earlier to John running around, powering these guys out. Right now he steps up, moves to the outside, finds an open receiver. Now I know Denver has a designed offense where they sprint Elway out right and left, and if he continues to get pressure from Seattle, I'm sure they'll go to it.
That tackler was Terry Taylor, and Terry might have been better advised to have really laid one on Sampson, because Sampson was thinking football only, concentrating on the catch, and Terry Taylor could have just unloaded on him. He hardly even hit him, and Sampson blocked on, just bounced right off the tackle. Right there is when Taylor should have let him have it.
Taylor's trying to win on points, you know, that little jab he is from earlier.
The Broncos are in field goal range of Rick Carlos. Rich has hit from 48 yards out already this season, and that would be just about the distance he would have to kick for a Bronco field goal at this point. But the Broncos are down to one timeout. 36 seconds remaining here in the first half.
Hey, OJ, I know you and Marcus are pretty tight, but I didn't know you guys swap clothes around and things like that.
No, we don't swap clothes. He rips off a few of mine.
Oh, I see. Figure a guy getting paid that much for Brett and David to buy his own. He's out of college now.
I'll be talking to Marcus very shortly, looking at the playoff picture, and Dr. Tim Johnson will talk about a joint that doesn't belong in the game of football. It's called the knee. 32-yard line. First and 10. Sewell. And the first-round draft pick out of Oklahoma to the 20-yard line. 12-yard pickup. Another Denver first down. They, of course, have the play already called. They could try and get it into the end zone, but Elway will be very careful with it. They're well within field goal range now. In and out of the hands of Watson, a pass that perhaps could have been caught, but I don't think he could have come down in bounds had he caught the ball. It'll be second down and 10. 9 seconds on the clock.
Coincidentally, we're talking to Marcus at halftime. Frank, you and I spoke of the fact that Steve Sewell reminds us both so much of Marcus. They have the same type of build. I think this kid is going to be a big star in this game pretty soon. #1 draft choice out of Oklahoma.
6'3", 210, and he was very versatile, like Marcus Allen. Not the big numbers that earned Marcus the Heisman Award, of course, but he was a good receiver. to Butch Johnson, and Johnson comes down with it inside the 10-yard line, but there are only 4 seconds remaining, and we'll see Carlos, who probably breathed a sigh of relief. He was considering one from 48 yards a while ago. Then he was considering one from about 37, and now he's going to have a relatively close shot. Now Denver has battled back. They were down 17-0. And Carlos, very accurate from in close. 21 and 35 for the season. The holder, the quarterback, Gary Kubiak. Wow, and he just did get it off. Terry Taylor was very close to blocking that one. 25-yard field goal by Rich Carlos. And the Broncos have gone to within 7 points in a game they must have. We'll be back in a moment after this conversion, and they desperately need this game tonight. Here comes Randall Morris. 5-yard field goal by Rich Carlos. And the Broncos have gone to within 7 points in a game they must have. We'll be back in a moment after this conversion, and they desperately need this game tonight. Here comes Randall Morris for the Seahawks. And Morris hit at the 25-yard line, and he is stopped dead right there. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. And by today's Gallo, all the best a wine can be. Frank Gifford along with Joe Namath and O.J. Simpson. And it looked rather bleak for the Denver Broncos midway through the second quarter when they were down 17-0. The Seahawks moving up and down the field almost at will. Running Kurt Warner, connecting with Largent and Darrell Turner, and then the Bronco defense tightened up. But the Broncos have not been able to protect Elway in the manner they would like to against the rush of the Seattle Seahawks. So we have the second half underway, and we'll watch David Hughes over the left side. Broncos defense strings it out along the line of scrimmage, and it's Simon Fletcher, the second-round draft pick, and the rookie from Houston, who is in there first for the Broncos. And there is a gain of about a yard by Hughes.
That may be the change the Broncos need to stop this Seahawk attack. They put their 4th lineman in there, Simon Fletcher, only played 3 linebackers that time. So I think they're going to try and stop the run with the 4 linemen and try and put more pressure on him with 4 down linemen.
And there they are again in the 4 down line position. 2nd down and 9. Craig holds it to the last possible moment. Flips it out to Warner, and he paid dearly as he was really leveled. It was Rulon Jones who really popped him as he released it. Let's take a look at the stats from the first quarter. It was dominated by Seattle. They moved up and down the field. Of course, one of them, a 41-yard touchdown pass from Craig to Darrell Turner, one of the big plays. And then let's now dissolve it, and we'll come to the halftime stats in just a moment as we'll watch the 3rd down and 9 down on the field for the Seahawks. 4 wide receivers. Scansey is in there with Turner and Largent and Byron Walker. Shotgun for the Seahawks. Craig. Largent, yes. And you couldn't cover it any better than Louis Wright covered it. Again, it's that timing pattern we showed you on a split screen in the first half. Craig releasing that ball just as Largent makes the cut to the outside. Just perfect.
Yeah, I don't think any defense could have stopped this pass, even with good pressure. He got the ball on so quickly and threw it so perfectly that you were right, Frank. That was good coverage, too. He's right on the thing. It's just a fine pass. Good timing.
Louis Wright used to play junior college ball, Bakersfield College, went over to San Jose State, #1 draft pick, and back in the Pro Bowl, and this is his 11th year. There's Warner in the flat, and Warner works to the 45-yard line for a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 as Harden was there with Dennis Smith. Dennis Smith also heading for the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, February the 2nd. You saw the first quarter stats a moment ago, and this is how Denver came back, and they actually had the lead in total yards.
And if it wasn't for Elway's ability to improvise, that 174 in passing yardage would be about 24.
And he has been under constant pressure. Second down and about 6. And again, Craig has to dump it off, and he gets it to Warner. And Warner is hit and nailed there first by Dennis Smith. But Craig held it as long as he could, and he finally had to release it in the flat. Jim Ryan was also out there, the outside linebacker, in on the stop. And it'll be third down and a long 6.
Well, that's 2 plays in a row that Denver did what you suggested, Joe. They got a few extra men up to pass rush, and they were smart. They double-teamed the outlet pass, which is Kurt Warner, because, of course, they are aware that it's pretty difficult for one man to tackle Kurt Warner in the open field.
Correction, it's third down and 9. Early moments of the third quarter. Craig from the shotgun. And again, scrambling and in trouble. And almost got it to Largent. And deflected away by Dennis Smith. Again, Craig was getting the pressure that he was not getting in the first half.
And I'll tell you, Dennis Smith is probably the only defensive back in the league that could have blocked that pass, because Dennis Smith is an over 7-foot high jumper, and he had to go all the way up to get a hand on that ball.
At 6'3", that's getting up there.
7'2".
Finzer is on for the punting unit. Vance Johnson is back for Denver. Fine kick by Finzer, a beauty. And Vance Johnson lets it go into the end zone, and the Broncos will have it at the 20-yard line. The Broncos with their first possession of the second half coming up. 57 yards in the second half. Secondary of the Seattle Seahawks that was troubled coming into tonight is hurting even further, because Paul Moyer, who had been filling in for an injured Kenny Easley, went out, pinched a nerve in the neck. He will not be back, and the Seahawks are down to, well, they're down to 6 men in the secondary. One of them is rookie Gene Robinson. He is in there. Seahawk bench again. It's been a long season. A year ago, they went to the divisional playoffs against Miami, losing. The year before that, they went to the AFC Championship before they lost to the Raiders. This year, they will be home during the holidays. They would like to be more than 500. However, they could finish 9-7 with a win tonight. On 1st and 10, Sammy Winder tries it on the inside, I presume just to keep things honest for John Elway. Elway under a lot of pressure in that first half. Gerald Wilhite back in there, by the way, number 47. He went out early in the game with a slightly sprained knee. So Wilhite is back as a running back for the Broncos, a position which has troubled them much of the year. Gene Lang went out 3 weeks ago. He had their best rushing average per carry. Broken hand. He's on the injured reserve. Winder got 3. It's second down and 7. Johnson is in motion. Vance Johnson. And Wilhite bangs out over the 30-yard line. He'll have a first down as Gene Robinson came up to provide the first hit, and the Seahawk very slow to get up. That's Keith Simpson. And that's yet another defensive back. Simpson came up and was in the backfield and took quite a shot. But I was just talking about the problems they have in that secondary with Ken Easley unable to go. His replacement went out in the second quarter. Let's take a look at it again. Just a power sweep. That was Simpson right there. The lead block provided by Sammy Winder. So Simpson has gone to the sidelines. First down at 10. Good hard running by Wilhite. Ball at the 32-yard line of Denver. Vance Johnson is split left. He's one wide receiver. Off to the top of your screen is Keith Watson. Elway steps back in the pocket, fires, complete to Johnson. The ball is loose. Gene Robinson is covered. Apparently he never had control of the football. But he was really given a shot. Let's take a look at it from the reverse angle. You get a better picture of it. it is. The camera across the field, and we have used that so efficiently. There you'll see it. It looked like he had control of it.
Of course, that was a little slower than it was in actual speed, but it certainly looked like he had control of the ball and was trying to shift it under one arm when he got hit.
John Harris provided the hit, and Gene Robinson covered it. Maybe we'll go back and play at irregular speed. 2nd and 10. He's out over the 45-yard line to the 46, and it's a Denver first down.
Now you're looking at a frustrated Jeff Bryant. He saw that play coming. He didn't overrun the play, and unfortunately, they got position on him, and they got a good gain out of it.
Let's go back and watch that play a moment ago in irregular speed. Elway fires the shot, and there's the hit. It happened so quickly, and the official was right there. He ruled there was no control as John Harris really provided a hit for Vance Johnson. But that was really a questionable call. 48-yard line. Denver keeps it alive. 1st and 10. Oh! They have the offensive line set up to make Mark Cooper eligible.
Oh! Coach Reeves pulling out some stops.
And of course he would have had to have identified himself.
That's right. You know, I guess they're about willing to do anything in this 3rd quarter to get things going. In the past, I'm not big on statistics, but in the last 8 weeks, Denver's been outscored 54-0 in the 3rd quarter.
I would think that'd be reason enough to do something different in the 3rd quarter.
Extra special, huh?
That should get your attention. The first down is inside the 40-yard line. Sammy Winder works the left side down to the 35-yard line. He'll get 3 out of that. Broncos have a drive going now, kept alive by a couple of fine Wilhite runs.
And a questionable call.
And a shot to the offensive guard, who has turned into an offensive tackle, back to an offensive guard, and became a receiver, Mark Cooper. Fast-moving 3rd quarter. Nearly 7 minutes have expired already. Winder, the single setback. Watson is split to the right, top of your screen. Elway went to Clarence Kay, who really was not ready for that shot.
I'm really surprised that they don't use John more with the rollout type passes, or else the old floating pocket that Hank Stram and Lenny Dawson, the Kansas City Chiefs, started many years ago. Start to drop back straight and then float to the right or to the left. He moves around so nicely back there, and he can take it upfield. I think they should be utilizing that more often than they have been.
3rd down and 7 for Denver. 35-yard line of the Seahawks. And again, keep reminding you, it's a game that Denver must win if they are going to have any chance at all to be in the playoffs. Elway rifles a shot. It's complete. Brent Sampson is there. Now they say no. He had it right in there. Elway paid for it. It was Harris on the hit again of Clint Sampson. Take a look at it from the end zone. An idea of what Elway was confronted with. John Harris popping, but Clint Sampson just did not handle the football. Had a lot on it, but Elway had to put a lot on it.
Certainly a catchable ball, but I guess if you tried to catch balls with Elway on the off season without shoulder pads on, you can leave some bruises on your chest.
You're supposed to catch them in your hands, aren't you?
Denver will forego what would be about a 52-yard field goal, and they have Chris Norman, the punter, on. And a fake. That was thrown out of bounds. And not even close. Ricky Hundley, the intended receiver. Chris Norman threw it out of bounds, and Seattle will get the football back. They'll have it at their own 35-yard line. When we come back to the Kingdome in just a moment. Kicker that can get up to about 55 yards, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. And Carlos, his career best was 50 yards, so Dan Reeves decided to let Chris Norman put it up for grabs, and Ricky Henley put on quite a show. He was trying to keep his feet in bounds, but he was out of bounds by a couple of yards. Carlos' best 2 career field goals have been only 50 yards, and he's 0 for 5 from 50 yards or more this season. Kurt Warner, left side. Good running by Warner. Warner's out to the 43-yard line. He'll get 8 out of that. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Midway through the 3rd quarter, the Denver Broncos in a must-win situation with the Seattle Seahawks. There is no tomorrow for the Broncos if they lose this one tonight. And automatically all the 3 AFC contenders in the East would become in the playoffs. The division, of course, up for grabs on Sunday. 2nd down and 3. Rick Parros, former Denver Bronco, is in the backfield for the Seattle Seahawks. This is Parros. And Parros, who was working for the Broncos at the beginning of the season, went on injured reserve. They tried to bring him back, and Seattle claimed him. Gets the 1st down for the Seahawks at the 49-yard line. Let's pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves.
This is KOMO TV4.
Frank Gifford, Joe Namath, O.J. Simpson. Watching a game that almost got out of control for the Denver Broncos when the Seahawks went up 17-0 midway through the 2nd quarter. It is 17-10 now in the must-win game for the Denver Broncos to stay alive for a playoff spot. 1st and 10 Seahawks. Kurt Warner dancing and juking at the line of scrimmage and gets to the 47-yard line. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7. There is our scoring summary. Greg with a perfect shot to open it to Darrell Turner. That made it 7-0. Then Johnson from 29 yards out to make it 10-0. Then it went 17-0 before the Broncos really got untracked. 2nd and 7. The Seahawks on the Broncos 47-yard line. Kurt Warner, or rather Rick Parros, with a good block out front. Kurt Warner with a fine block. Parros cut it back, ran into the traffic, and was held to about a 3-yard pickup. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Well, it appears the Seahawks have changed their offensive philosophy here in this drive. They haven't even tried to pass the football. They're trying to run the football at Denver right now.
A little of Chuck Knox's old philosophy of ball control, ground chuck. You can call it 3 yards and a cloud of astroturf here.
4 wide receivers. To come back was Largent. He would have been short at the 1st down in any event, so we will see the punting unit for Seattle. Largent, if you were not with us earlier, did a lot of things tonight. He became the 5th player in NFL history to reach 10,000 yards receiving with his first reception tonight. He's caught a pass in 123 consecutive games. Record, by the way, is held by Harold Carmichael at 127, so he's threatening that. Set a new single-season receiving mark for the Seahawks with 76. It's been a phenomenal career for Steve Largent. Finzer to punt. Wilhite is back for Denver. Finzer is looking for the corner. He'll catch some of it. They'll mark it inside the 20, and they'll mark it close to the 13-yard line. Now they walk it out near the 15. The crowd doesn't like it. Denver has the football back. 5:07 remaining in the 3rd quarter. They trail 17-10. Look for some of the finest fans in all of pro football. And the Denver Broncos, I might add, too. These 2 teams are sold out, well, every game. Broncos go way back, and Seattle, they've been sold out since this franchise was formed back in '76. Denver has the football, 1st and 10 at their own 14-yard line. Sammy Winder piled up behind the line of scrimmage. Jeff Bryant crossed the line of scrimmage very quickly, along with Joe Nash.
Gerald Wilhite found himself face-to-face with Joe Nash 1 yard in the backfield as a blocker, and he says, hey, I know he is not my assignment.
I know this was not designed this way. Loss of a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 12. Watson in motion for Denver. Draw play. That's Vance Johnson. Gets some of the loss back and a couple of more yards, so it's going to be 3rd down and about 8.
O.J., I would have loved to have seen you had the football in your hands that time. I know Vance Johnson's fast. He's a pretty good runner, but if he'd have made that one little break right there, he'd had 15, 20 yards.
Yeah, it certainly looked like the play was designed well. It was set up by those fakes earlier, play-action passes, and it appeared as if he'd have cut up a little sooner. He would have been, pretty much off to the races.
That's right. 4 wide receivers for Denver. They'll work from the shotgun. It's 3rd down and 8. The crowd is into it for the Seahawks. This time Elway had the time, and he fires to Sampson, who has the first down. He's out to just about the 35-yard line, but Dave Brown laying way off Sampson, and for the first time Elway was comfortable back there in the pocket.
Oh, he had plenty of time, just a regular drop back and an out pattern about 15 yards deep, wide open. Hey, listen, if Sampson catches the last ball that was thrown to him, maybe Denver's on the board again.
This is what I alluded to earlier in the game when Bryant and Jacob, Green and Nash were all coming like stormtroopers in there. That takes its toll after a while against a quarterback like Elway, who keeps rolling out of the pocket and you have to chase him. That's Sammy Winder over the right side. Again, just getting that defensive line's attention. We're going to throw the ball. We're not going to run it. But you got to play us honest, and we're going to run it every now and then. Joe Nash in on that stop.
I don't know. I kind of believe in maybe slowing that defensive line down with a draw and an occasional screen. They haven't thrown enough screens, in my opinion, yet tonight. The running plays they're running up the middle really aren't getting any yardage to speak of.
At the 37-yard line, it's 2nd down and 8. 2:37 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Elway again has the time, and he just let one rip that nobody's going to be close to. I think Elway thought he was going to be much more crowded than he was. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Tomorrow on ABC's Wide World of Sports, America's Olympic boxing medalists continue to battle in the professional ranks. Mark Breland, Tyrell Biggs, and Evander Holyfield, all undefeated. They're going to fight live, except here on the West Coast. The exciting action will begin for you tomorrow at a special time, 4 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 3 o'clock Central, and what records they have. They're all undefeated. Breland, he's 7-0. Biggs is 6-0. Holyfield is 7-0. And they have 13 KOs between them. 3rd down and 8. Will Height is back there with Elway in the shotgun. Elway, Butch Johnson, and the former Dallas Cowboy and Houston Oiler comes down with it at midfield. 1st down yardage for Denver.
Yeah, but if they keep waiting till 3rd down to get these passes in, it's going to catch up to them. The last 2 series of downs, they've had to make the big play on 3rd down. You're not going to make a living that way.
You know, Joe, it is Denver football, though. You watch them, and I said it earlier, they just keep you hanging by your toenails, your fingernails. You keep biting them, and somehow they're always scrambling. Somehow, at the end of every game, with rare exception, they are in it.
Well, if they run it up the middle on 1st down this time, I'm going to throw a flag.
All right. Midfield, 2:21 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Seahawks leading 17-10. 1st down and 10 Denver in midfield. This is Will Height. Another Denver 1st down. At the 37-yard line, Bruce Schultz and Terry Taylor defensively there. Little play action fake intended to show Seattle that they were going to bring it up the middle, and then Elway with a little half roll. That's what you were calling for earlier.
I love it. You know, I'd like to see who'd get tired first, Elway rolling out or that defensive line chasing him.
Well, on that play, it showed that the defensive line was a little tired because Jacob Green had a bead on Elway, but his legs just wouldn't support him. He just fell right down.
I think the jury is in as to who is getting a little tired chasing John Elway. And it's those big 250 and 60-pound defensive linemen. Elway is 300 yards on the night already, 18 of 29. Fleetvicker. Elway looked deep. His deep man, Sampson, was not available, so he tried to go to Watson. Watson was well covered. Good defensive coverage on the part of the Seahawks all over the field.
And a smart play by John Elway. You know, a lot of folks back home might not understand how good a play this was, both defensively and offensively. It was an interesting call trying to catch Seattle off balance. They didn't. Seattle played it beautifully, and Elway did not try to force the ball. He threw it away that time. So play didn't gain any yardage, but it was a pretty good play both offensively and defensively.
Steve Sewell, the rookie #1 draft pick from Oklahoma, is in the lineup on 2nd down and 10. Elway will go from the shotgun. Elway goes underneath the Sewell. He holds onto the football, but only gets a couple of yards out of it to the 35, and it will keep the Broncos and John Elway, who made a good move just to even get rid of that football. It'll keep them in deep pass situation.
And I'm telling you, this defensive line of the Seahawks is beginning to show a little frustration. They had Elway on the run. They hit him. They knocked knocked him down. They turn around, and it's a completed pass. Grant you just a few yards, but the pass was still completed. Jacob Green and Jeff Bryant looked at each other and just threw their hands up in the air.
Elway is now over 4,000 yards total offense for the season. I told you earlier he is the leading rusher in the NFL among quarterbacks. 3rd down and 8. He'll do that to you. And that's remarkable. Sampson bobbles the ball and is ruled incomplete. But that was kind of a special little effort there by Elway.
And here we are again in the same situation we were the last time when Carlos couldn't try the field goal from 35 yards out, a 52-yard kick.
Well, Frank, you said this was a special effort by Elway. In a sense, it's typically Elway because this is when he's at his very, very best, and somehow they got to design a way to get him to do that on a normal down situation.
We need to design a way to get Sampson to hold on to the football.
Again, Denver apparently not faith in Rich Carlos to hit it from 52 yards out. John Elway stays in on 4th down. And apparently they don't have a whole lot of faith in their punter, Chris Norman, to get it out of bounds somewhere down deep. 4th down and 8. Wilhite. Super call. Seattle had everyone covered deep. Wilhite was out there all by himself. Gets inside the 20-yard line. Great execution by the Broncos and a fine call by head coach Dan Reeves.
And that play, Joe, worked because Keith Bishop, number 54, was able to get outside and block Michael Jackson, number 55. This is Jackson's responsibility. You'll see Jackson just go down right there at the line of scrimmage.
That's a quick screen left. It was a quick screen all the way, and Keith Bishop did a nice job getting out there to block Jackson.
And another scoreless 3rd quarter for the Broncos, but they are definitely on the prowl. They have a 1st down. They are inside the 20-yard line of the Seahawks, and we'll be back after this from our station. It's been that way for a week. And a sellout crowd once again in the Kingdom has been that way since 1976. And the Seahawks out of the playoffs for the first time in 3 years have a 17-10 lead over the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos have a 1st down and 10 inside the 20-yard line of the Seahawks. We begin the 4th quarter. That's Watson in motion. This is Sewell, the rookie from Oklahoma, with a good move back inside to get to the 15-yard line. Gain of almost 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. And again, we show you the importance of what happens. If Denver wins, the Broncos will be a wild card. If the Jets or the Patriots lose, the Jets, of course, playing Cleveland. The Patriots are playing Cincinnati. Now, if Denver loses, the Broncos are eliminated. The Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots are all in. And the Eastern Division of the AFC will be decided with the action over the weekend. 2nd down and 5. Elway into the end zone. That's Watson. They're saying no. And Steve Watson is not arguing, so it will be 3rd down and 5.
We may be beating a dead horse here, but it is amazing how Elway can throw that ball running the way he's running. I mean, that ball was still pretty much on the money.
He had a lot of practice at Stanford. Ran for his life there. Look at him again. He rolls out, and rolling this way, Joe, it's not the easiest way to throw the ball with that much velocity.
It's the most difficult way to throw the ball for a right-hander because you have a natural tendency not to get the left shoulder under your chin. You have to use the left side. John gets his left side under his chin. That's the reason he has velocity on the ball.
3rd down and 5. Elway rifles a shot. Johnson. And Vance Johnson steps out of bounds near the 5-yard line. It'll be 1st down, goal to go. And this rookie from Arizona, who Dan Reeves inserted as a starter into the lineup ahead of Butch Johnson when we covered them a few weeks ago against the 49ers, has really developed. We talked about his athletic talent, his great speed, a 10.28 for the 100 meters, a world-class long jumper. But he's also a fine football player, all Pac-10 as a sophomore when he was a tailback for the University of Arizona. He's caught 4 tonight for 46 yards, and they've been key plays. And he has the Broncos with a 1st down, goal to go near the 5-yard line. Kurt Warner on the sidelines. They've been working Warner hard throughout the game. Nathan Poole, 34. Steve Sewell, 30. The setbacks for the Broncos. Watson is in motion. Sewell. And Sewell down close to the 2-yard line. Gene Robinson was there first for Seattle. Then he picked up a little help from his friends. It'll be second down, goal to go. Broncos do not have a running back averaging over 4 yards a carry. And the running back with the best average is unavailable on the injured reserve. Gene Lang, their big fullback. Dan Reeves would dearly love to get him back. Second down, goal to go. Wilhite and Sewell of the setback. Into the end zone is Gerald Wilhite. And the Broncos are a conversion away from tying this game up. Rich Carlos comes on. And the Kingdom in Seattle is quieted considerably. Broncos have hung in there. They were being thoroughly trounced out the first quarter, midway through the second quarter, and now they have battled back and they have begun to take charge of this football game. Good move by Wilhite. Back into the grain, into the end zone, and Carlos is out to tie it up.
That was a six-pack of soda pop, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the other guys have their bags packed. They're ready to go home for the holidays, you know.
Carlos ties it up at 17 with 13:20 remaining in the game. And again, it's a game in which Denver can only stay alive for the playoffs if they win tonight. We'll be back. We're starting to get control of this football game. It could be Seattle might be thinking about the holidays because they're going to be home for that. Or it's just that Denver has got to pull back together again. That drive went 85 yards in 16 plays, and that just absolutely delights any coach. Takes a lot out of the opposition also. Carlos to kick off. High kick. And Randall Morris will bring it out from the 5. To the 24-yard line where it'll be first and 10 for Seattle. 64,000 plus on hand tonight. Later tonight on Nightline, Ted Koppel talks with Senator Ted Kennedy, who says he still wants to be president, but not in 1988. That's tonight, right here on Nightline. That, of course, will be following your late local news in many parts of the country. First down and 10, Seattle at the 23-yard line. Defense than we watched throughout the first half.
Well, Darryl Turner's making him look good, too. He dropped that last pass. Of course, I hear the fans booing a little bit. That's about his third or fourth drop this game. But that ball was thrown behind him slightly. But, you know, a professional receiver, I have to believe when he gets both hands on the football, he's supposed to catch it more times than he drops it.
Second down and 10, and in a situation like this, when the other team starts to get things pulled together, and we're going to have the ball changed, I believe. Senator Blair Bush unhappy with something about the football. They bring in another one. I started to say when Seattle starts to sag, and I've watched them over the years, particularly the great years of Steve Largent, they usually like to get the ball to him. He can put the juice back into their offense. A special player. There are players like that. Craig, flag is down, but that's picked off by Mike Harden.
You put pressure on quarterbacks and they do strange things.
Dennis Smith, the Pro Bowl safety man, put the pressure on Dave Craig on the safety blitz. And Craig threw him right into Mike Harden.
I'm sorry, Frank. Watch number 28. This is really Kurt Warner's man, and he didn't realize it until he ran by Dennis Smith, that Dennis Smith was rushing the quarterback. You see him come back in your screen trying to catch up to him.
He did recognize it after it was too late, and he was also called for holding. Well, watch number 28, as O.J. said. Dennis Smith is number 49. He sees 49 inside, and he just grabs it.
I'd say that was holding.
Big break for the Broncos.
Or snatching.
They're at the 26-yard line. First down and 10. Harden gets the turnover. Winder and Poole the setback. Winder right up the middle. And And this time Winder will get about 6 yards out of that. It'll be 2nd and 4. Jeff Bryant is on the bottom of that pile. Denver Broncos, in case you joined us late, we're down 17-0 at one point. They're kind of used to that in Denver. Maybe not 17-0, but they've been behind so many times. It's almost part of their game plan. Then they always scratch, and they're always there at the end. Winder again. Close to a first down is Sammy Winder. Winder ended tonight with 680 yards rushing. Of course, he had the 1,000-yard season of a year ago, and was the only Bronco that made it to the Pro Bowl.
You know, earlier today I was interviewed by a writer from Denver, and he was saying that I think the Broncos had the respect around the league that he felt they deserved. And I said, you know what, I really don't, because most people can't figure out how they win week in and week out. Statistically, they're not impressive, but somehow they do the things you have to do to win.
3rd down 1. That's cool. Bouncing off one tackle in the backfield and gets down to the 13-yard line. 3 consecutive running plays, and it's a first down for Denver at the 13-yard line of Seattle.
You know, Joe, I have to agree with you, but I've always known that these guys that write about these football games don't know very much about them.
Joe.
It's a good thing you don't read your write-ups. You're going to get some beauties now, baby.
So what's new?
1st and 10. Chuck Fairbanks, the winner wherever he's been. But out of the playoffs this year as he watches Chuck Knox, brother, and Steve Sewell over the left side. Chuck Knox was your coach, wasn't he, in 2 occasions, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Chuck actually was the man who was responsible for the New York Jets drafting me back in '65. And we worked together the first 3 years at New York. And then again, he was my coach while I was with the Rams one year. And I've said this many, many times. The players love him, and justifiably. He's a man's man who's a very honest, hard-working man. That's why they love him.
2nd down and 9. And there was movement. Bruce Schultz is pointing an accusing finger, saying that he was drawn off.
Well, if 63 was lined up as a tight end that time, he's allowed to go ahead and change his stance. And he did catch a pass earlier.
Ball start, number 63.
Okay.
Offense.
Uh-oh, argue with him.
He is arguing also.
Sure, if he's in a tight end position, he can shift.
I find those arguments usually fall on pretty deaf ears as they walk it off. So now it'll be 2nd down and about 17. I'll call it 18 as they have walked it off to the 16-yard line. Gerald Wilhite, single setback. Elway working from the shotgun. Clock is moving. We're down close to 10 minutes remaining in the game. Oh, no. Vance Johnson had it right in his hands. Elway did everything to catch it for him.
I don't know. How many dropped balls have we had tonight? Both teams, you count them up, we have to have had 8 or 9 dropped passes.
Well, that was another case of a guy trying to run before he caught the ball, and with the velocity that Elway places on the ball, I think you got to, whatever you do, catch it first.
What about Turner's case for Seattle? We can't blame it on velocity there.
3rd down and long once again. Watson goes left. Butch Johnson split out to the right. Elway looking into the end zone and throws it out of the back of the end zone. Clint Sampson was there. Steve Watson were both back there. And now we'll see Carlos to try and untie this football game. Broncos have never had the lead tonight. Seattle jumped out to a 17-0 lead.
Seattle's defense has to feel really good about stopping Denver at this point. Denver had the momentum going this entire half, and getting the turnover in the field position that they did, just holding them to possibly 3 or possibly no points at all is a big tribute to the defense of Seattle.
34-yard attempt. Carlos was hit earlier from 25 yards out. He was 21-35 coming into tonight. Carlos hooks it left. And the effort, the turnover is wasted. We'll be back in a moment. We can beat the fog in Seattle. It has really been something up here. Rams and the Raiders are looking forward to it, guys.
It's not foggy down there. It's been 85 degrees most of the week. Dickinson and Allen, two of my favorite runners.
I remember some of those giant jet battles, and I promise you the Rams and the Raiders are going to be hot come Monday night.
First and 10 Seattle. We are tied at 17. 10 minutes remaining in the game as Kurt Warner works over the right side out to about the 23-yard line. Gain of 3 for second down and 7. Chuck Knox calling the plays.
Is he calling the plays? I was going to say this is typical of Chuck Knox. I mean, on both teams, as you mentioned earlier, Frank, they don't have a back averaging 4 yards a carry. And I would think that Seattle would open it up right now. In the beginning of the game, they had a lot of success throwing the ball downfield, and they've gone to that 3 yards of play, and it hasn't done much for them since they got those first 17 points.
Yeah, it's strange. They have tightened up.
Second down and 6 as they gave Warner the mark up to the 24-yard line. Craig tries to time one out to Turner, but Turner was in a battle with Dennis Smith, and Turner lost it. It'll be third down and 6.
Well, Turner had a semi-legitimate argument there. Dennis did get his hands on Turner about 15 yards downfield, which is supposedly a no-no. But meantime, if you're going to give Craig that kind of time back there to pass, he's going to complete one or two of them. They need to keep putting pressure on Craig if they want to stop the Seattle passing attack.
Denver again needs a win tonight, and then they also need help on Sunday from Cincinnati. Cincinnati playing New England, and or Cleveland, who will play the Jets. Third and long. Craig again with a lot of time, trying to get the ball to Largent. This time we'll get the flag as Louis Wright was driving into the back of Steve Largent. Mike Harden was also there, but I think it'll go against Louis Wright. Referee once again is Chuck Heberling. We'll look at it again. Louis Wright right up there gets the shot he's allowed within the 5 yards. Now he just crawls all over him there. And the first down for Seattle is out at the 30-yard line.
I didn't really agree with that call. I thought the ball was by him, really. That was a tough call.
Turner goes right, Largent goes left. Craig out of the pocket and gets the first down to the 42-yard line. It's been an up and down season for Dave Craig. I mentioned earlier in the games they have won 8 of them. He has passed for 64%. In the games in which they have lost, he has passed for 44%, and he is fairly hot tonight. That was a 13-yard pickup by Craig. Craig now is 13 for 28, 148 yards. Did have the one error he threw away through the interception, but Denver cannot capitalize on it a few moments ago. And Seattle is on the move once again. Warner back into Rulon Jones. He'll lose about a yard. Clock ticking away. We're tied at 17. We have less than 9 minutes.
Well, a team that lives with their defense, as Denver has for so many years, they have to feel like it's in their hands right now. We have a tie ball game with 8:30 left to go. The Denver defense must feel like they have to stop this Seattle bunch. I mean, it's their responsibility now to make it to the playoffs.
And, of course, Seattle coached by Chuck Knox, a coach who hates more than anything else the turnover. Craig couldn't get it loose. And just as we talked about the defense, the blitz was on. This is what they do as well as any team in football. They brought Dennis Smith, and also in there, big Rulon Jones. It'll be third down and 10. Rulon Jones on his way to the Pro Bowl for Denver.
That Pro Bowl is going to be a fun game. I haven't been to Hawaii in a long time, but just being able to watch the ball players, the quality of the ball players in that kind of a game has got to be a thrill. It's going to be a thrill for me, for sure.
Yeah, it sure changed when they moved it to Hawaii. 2 years ago, the players didn't even want to play in it. Now they make a big deal out of it. Wives, sweethearts, and everything invited. Not necessarily together, but it makes quite a happening. 3rd down and 10. Craig gets it to Walker. And Aaron Walker will have a first down for Seattle near the 41-yard line of Denver. Craig now with 2 big plays on this drive. The 13-yard sprint for a first down. That time almost underhand, getting the ball when he was in trouble to Walker for the first down. Just does get it in there. That one could have been picked off by Randy Robbins, or certainly deflected. He just could not quite get there. 1st and 10, Seattle. Here's Warner. Warner breaks back. Kurt Warner to the 3-yard line. A great run by Warner. Hit at the line of scrimmage, broke it back against the grain, kicked it into gear, and more than the run, I'm just glad to see him doing this again after that knee reconstruction from that injury a year ago.
I agree with you totally, Frank. It's a little what we call a 26. The play is designed to go off tackle. Kurt does what he used to do quite often. Cut back. And here's what surprised me, at the ability to run away virtually from 2 people. And this is something that he's been unable to give this team this year. But next year, I believe when he spends this offseason running and getting a little fluidity back to his game, you'll see Kurt Warner doing this quite often again.
38-yard pickup. Warner has 89 yards on the night, and that's his longest run thus far this season. First down, goal to go, Seattle. Warner, the crowd wanted him to get it, and he takes it to just about a foot outside. Warner came in as a rookie phenomenon in 1983 when he rolled for nearly 1,500 yards, averaging nearly 4.5 yards. And of course, that terrible injury at the beginning of last season, the very opening game of last season. He has made a remarkable comeback. It's 2nd down, goal to go. He's held out of the end zone.
That's reject city right there.
Take this.
How does it feel when you go over a pile like that and just boom, sudden stop?
Well, on this play, he didn't know exactly where he was going. He was running up to the line of scrimmage. I don't think he was thinking about jumping until he got there. And he got there, he had nothing to do. He tried to follow his fullback over the top, and nothing was there.
Steve Busick was there, number 58, and he met him. There's a loss on the play of about a foot. 3rd down, goal to go. Denver can be very tough down here.
Yeah, Ed, David Hughes shouldn't have jumped.
Remember the 49ers? Busick again, and Warner again does not get in. It'll be 4th down, goal to go.
Now then, you're out of the playoffs. What do? Do you go for field goal or go for touchdown? Does it make a difference to Seattle here?
Warner now has carried the ball 4 consecutive times.
All right.
I wonder what they're thinking in New England and New York right now. If I was in New England or New York, I would be saying kick the field goal.
And even Miami, all 3 of the AFC East teams, if Denver loses tonight, have qualified for the playoffs. 4th down, goal to go. They'll have to hurry to get it off. Warner, this time he's in. Listen to the crowd. yourself. You are all the way back. And he got it in. 92 yards now for Kurt Warner. And Norm Johnson on for the conversion. A lot of time remaining. 5:20. High snap. But Gail Gilbert, the backup quarterback, the rookie from California, got it down quickly. And let's take a look at Warner once again, going over the top. 5 times in a row. Juicy had to be a little tired. But he pans over. No one was there. And Warner gets into the end zone. Has the lead. Vance Johnson is back along with Steve Sewell, the 2 rookies. Sewell from Oklahoma, Johnson from Arizona, both of them with fine speed. Johnson, a world-class sprinter. It'll be Van Johnson, but Sewell will hold him into the end zone. Now Denver will have the football back at their own 20-yard line. Game, of course, dramatically affecting the AFC East. Miami, New England, and the Jets would all advance to the playoffs tonight with a Denver loss, and Denver right now with 5:15 remaining is 7 points down. Well, I hope they usually are in the games they play.
I hope they don't run the ball up the middle. Right now, with 5:15 left on the clock, I know it's a lot of time, but John Elway, they ought to utilize his capabilities of rolling out, dropping back, sprinting one way or the other. Throw the football. Get back in the game now. Don't worry about running the ball.
On first down. Elway, play action. Tried to get it to Kay. It's incomplete and almost picked off. It'll be second down and 10, and Barry Taylor struggling to get to his feet. Elway, by the way, has shattered all the Denver single-season records. Most of those records were his. He shattered the record for attempts, completions, yardage. And as I mentioned earlier, he's also rushed for over 250 yards. Over 4,000 yards tonight in total offense. But he will give you a thrill. He likes to take it right down to the end. Second down and 10. Ripped the hands off Vance Johnson.
Vance was falling down before the ball got to him.
That one had some smoke on it. Down the line, you know that Elway, who has learned so much in 3 years, 3 young years here, is going to learn to take a little pace off that ball. It's very important for a receiver coming across the middle.
You're speaking as a receiver now, Frank.
Well, it hurts. I caught a bunch of them, and they're smart.
That's right. You caught him, though, right?
Third and 10. Blitz Johnson. Yes. Seahawks were saying no as Johnson caught that ball. They were saying he trapped it out at the 33-yard line. The official right there, and it's first down Denver. And once again, the Broncos take it all the way down to third down and long yardage before they get it.
Now there's a key catch by a veteran receiver, Butch Johnson, who might just be the clutch man in this game. Butch has been around 9 years. He started out fast this season, but then slacked off. But he's one of your clutch football players.
That's 2 tonight, Joe. And coming into tonight, he did not have a reception in the last 5 weeks. He's made 2 big third down plays for them. Elway, a lot of time and no receiver. The linemen must be exhausted. They have got to be. All alone is Watson. Elway danced around back there for maybe 15 seconds. The defensive linemen were exhausted. He fired downfield to Watson, who knows Steve Elway. He didn't give up on him.
Well, there's really not much to talk about. Well, there is. You know, when you give any quarterback this much time back there to find a receiver, he's going to find one that's open. And when you have a strong arm like Elway, he can get it 60, 75 yards downfield.
And they just brought a new dimension to this game. Dances around there forever. You saw big number 79, Jacob Green. He'd been down twice and still trying to pursue him. And you can imagine how tired Jacob Green must be. And this guy will exhaust the defensive pass rush. Great effort by Watson to keep alive down there.
Well, that was typical John Elway at Stanford. He'd run around and throw that ball 50, 60 yards downfield. Poor Jeff Bryant was beaming right down on Elway, and Elway timed his spin out of that perfectly.
First down, goal to go. Winder battling down close to the 2-yard line. It'll be second down, goal to go. Let's take a look at Watson on that previous play. He sprints down the right side, picks up the coverage there from Terry Taylor. Now he looks back and he sees Elway in trouble. Now he has been here before with Elway. He knows that Elway can, in all probability, stay alive, and he just stays on the move, giving himself plenty of room, and there he was. Boy, and he made sure he handled it too.
I'm surprised that Taylor and Harris both didn't respect the strength of Elway's arm more and not allow that man to get behind.
Well, you know, Terry, number 20, was playing zone, and he should have yelled over to John Harris that here comes a guy, and he didn't, and Harris didn't see him until he was behind him.
Second down, goal to go. Wilhite inside the 1-yard line as John Elway has his first career 400-yard game. His career high was 353 yards against New Orleans earlier this year. He's over that. He's 22 of 41, 405 yards tonight. And we have more than 3 minutes remaining, and there is an injured Denver Bronco.
It's number 47, Wilhite. He came into the game with a bad ankle. He seems to be holding that ankle now. He missed the last 3 games because of it.
He also went out early in the game with a twisted knee, so Wilhite has been struggling all night. You ever had a bad ankle, you know, after you get it well enough to play, well, every now and then you have to pop an adhesion or two, and it feels like you've injured it all over again. Now Wilhite looks like he's going to be all right. I think we'll see him again.
What a big play coming up. 3rd and goal, 1.5 feet. The season's on the line for Denver.
And they're down at the moment 24-17. Quiet kingdom here in Seattle for the moment. Now you'll hear it start to build. Held out of the end zone by a great play. Sheldon Robinson, who was a starter at inside linebacker for the Seahawks a year ago, lost his job to Freddie Young. He just made a great play for the Seahawks.
It's really an interesting call here because this is the only type of play when you know you're going to go for it on 4th down, another yard to go, that you can lose yardage on a running play. They almost got it in, but they really, in actuality, lost about a foot on that play. They're lucky they didn't lose more than that.
4th down, goal to go. Wilhite is back in. It'll be Wilhite and Sewell, the setbacks. Could be the playoff for Denver. Sewell is in, the rookie from Oklahoma. Good football game. We're glad you're with us. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. Know we can count on the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets watching. If we look at it one more time. Got a good lead block from Wilhite. Keith Butler battled his way through it, but Wilhite had Butler covered enough. Sewell had a shot at the end zone, and he made the most of it.
He sure did. He has that wiry type of body, much like Marcus Allen, that he's able to give a little bit. A stockier guy may not have gotten into the end zone on that play.
Carlos to tie us up once again. Miss it. We'll get out of here. It's a lot of fog, however, in the entire northwestern part of the nation. Most flights were sent to Portland or Spokane, Vancouver over the past few days. We're set to go now. Tied at 24. hits it, and Randall Morris will bring it out. Morris with a fine run gets out close to the 33-yard line. Good field position for Seattle. Mike Harden hustled down there defensively for Denver. And out come the Seahawks. They're not playing like a team. Well, if you're not familiar with the type of people that play this game, you might suspect that with nothing on the line, Seattle might let up a little bit tonight. That certainly has not been the case. They are a very prideful team. They have come a long way under Chuck Knox over the past 3 years. First down and 10, Seattle. Craig almost gets that picked off by Dennis Smith. And he can jump. O.J. was touching on it a while ago. He was a 7-foot high jumper heading for the Pro Bowl this year, and he's been all over the field tonight.
And well, what made that play also was the defensive pressure that Denver put on Craig. Any quarterback is going to have a tough time throwing the football with pressure. They need to put pressure on Craig right now. Give him time, and he's going to find a receiver. They should come with an all-out blitz or at least send 5 guys. Try and get pressure back on Craig. He's not that fine a passer with the pressure on him.
Well, it's been their trademark over the years. When you get down towards the final minutes, that defense really gets tough. Trying to get the ball out to Scansey. Steve Wilson was defending. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations and friends along the line to identify themselves.
You're watching KOMO TV4.
Frank Gifford, O.J. Simpson, Joe Namath watching a seesaw game that opened up with the Seahawks taking a 17-0 lead over the Denver Broncos. The Broncos battled back. They had the lead for a moment. And now the Seahawks have tied it up at 24. We have 2:16 remaining in the game, in a game that the Denver Broncos cannot afford to lose. If they do, they're out of the playoffs. No chance at all. Even if they win tonight, they are also going to have to look for help from the AFC Eastern Division. They are going to need a Cincinnati win over New England or a win over the Jets by Cleveland. Scansey on the sidelines. Bent off. Ray Butler has replaced Scansey. Number 83. Third down and 10. Craig trying to get the ball to Butler. That'll be 4th down, and it was Steve Wilson doing the job once again. A job that he did a few moments ago on Scansey on the very same play. So apparently they wanted to work on Wilson, and he was up to the task. That brings out the punter, Dave Fenzer. And Vance Johnson will drop back for Denver. Tough football game. Dolphins looking on, the Jets looking on, the Patriots looking on. The Patriots will be in the playoffs if they defeat Cincinnati on Sunday, or if Denver loses tonight, as I mentioned. Additionally, they will join the division, win the division title if they defeat Cincinnati, and both the Jets and the Dolphins lose. And here comes Johnson. And to about the 24-yard line. And I thought there was a flag down on a piece of paper, but it was a flag, and there is an illegal man downfield.
Well, they want to make him kick that over. That was a fine punt.
Number 53, offense, illegally down the field. 5 yards, 4th down.
Well, they'll kick again. I'll tell you about the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins can clinch the division title with a victory over Buffalo on Sunday in their home. Or if all 3 AFC East contenders lose. If the Dolphins don't take the division crown, there will still be a wild card entry unless the following unlikely scenario takes place. Miami loses, Denver, the Jets, and New England all win, and the margins of the Denver win and the Miami loss total 39 points or more. Now, we didn't want to get into that at halftime. That is a little complex and a little remote.
Well, I
Are you trying to say Buffalo can't win by
I was going to say, the man that knows Buffalo.
Hey, man.
No, I'm talking about all the circumstances that would be necessary to bring that about.
Hey, Buffalo can do it.
By 39.
Buffalo.
4th down again. Fenzer back. Short kick. Johnson calls for the fair catch and executes at the 39-yard line. And with 1:55 remaining, we'll get the 2-minute warning. But the Broncos have great field position. They also have 3 timeouts. This stadium is built for $67 million, opened in 1976, and is located right downtown. A beautiful facility, kind of no frills, but it certainly is a fine facility. There's Carlos. It could fall on his shoulders as the Broncos have good field position. 1st and 10, the ball at their own 40-yard line. From the shotgun, John Elway. There's a middle screen to Sewell. Sewell still on his feet inside the 35-yard line to the 33-yard line, and Elway was really shaken up. And I think this time he might be hurt.
The second time they've used that middle screen this game, and it's worked both times. You're right about Elway, though, Frank. It looks like he is shaken up. He can barely stand on his own 2 feet.
He wears a brace on that left knee, and that appears to be what is bothering Elway. Let's take a look. He was under great pressure again by Jacob Green coming from the left side. And there again. It comes in low on that knee. That knee has a brace on it. It's happened to Elway earlier in the year, and there you see the completion of the run. But the concern right now on the part of the Broncos is for John Elway, who is being helped off the field. That is his bad knee. He does wear a brace, and he took quite a shot.
But before he left the game, he appears to have the Broncos in just about field goal range.
And there is his replacement, Gary Kubiak. For the season, 2 of 5. That's all the action he has seen. 61 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. But he can get it done. We saw him in a preseason game against the 49ers when John Elway struggled against the 49ers. Kubiak came in, moved her right down the football field. And we're going to look one more time at Elway. And I think it's ever so fortunate that he does have that brace. Jeff Bryant dives over the block of Dave Studdard, collapses the knee, the left knee of John Elway.
We've said it time and time again, the knee was just not designed to play football. When you start pushing it laterally and forward and backwards, something's going to give, something's going to tear, something's going to bend. They are nearly in field goal position right now with the new quarterback in the game. I think you'd want to play it very tight, run the clock, run the football around end up the middle, keep this position. Draw play. Will Height gets 3 to the 30-yard line. Will Height has been playing hurt all night. Now Elway is on the bench. They continue to look at John Elway's left knee. And Will Height limps off one more time. We'll be back in a moment. John Elway's left ankle and not his knee. And sorry about the ankle, but that's good news to all of us up here in the booth. Yeah, I think
you'll buy that anytime over a knee.
That's football camouflage. You know, these teams won't tell the truth all the time about the injuries to keep the other guys from getting to them. He took that hit right on the knee.
He looks as though he wants to go back in the game. We don't know whether we'll see him or not. Kubiak is on at the moment. It'll be 2nd down and 7. 2 timeouts remain for the Broncos. I started to say earlier, Kubiak was an 8th-round draft pick the same year Elway was, a 1st-round pick for the Baltimore before he was traded to the Broncos. Haven't heard much about him. We know he's tough. He took quite a beating a year ago against the Bears. Hung in there. And Sewell is piled up for a loss of a yard or 2. And it's going to be 3rd down, long yardage, the ball near the 32-yard line. And Carlos, you have to wonder, as Carlos has only had 2 50-yard field goals in his career. And we're looking at potentially about a 49-yard effort.
Hey, the safest play I could come up with now if I was coaching this team and playing quarterback, of course not me playing, would be a quarterback draw. I'm talking quarterback draw right now. It's not going to lose any yardage, and you get back upfield, or else some kind of running play anyway, not to lose yardage. Kubiak hasn't been playing this entire game. He's cold. I would not allow him to throw a pass at this point. It wouldn't be fair to him or the team. Right now, you try your best not to lose any yardage. You want to gain some yardage. You run your best play.
I agree, Joe. And Carlos, as long as may just be 50 yards, but he'll never find better conditions than this to kick a 40-something yard field goal.
Absolutely dead solid perfect. They are working on Elway's ankle, so that is a relief. don't know whether we'll see him if we go into overtime, but meanwhile, the man on the spot is Rich Carlos. Third down and about 9. Ball is at the 32-yard line of the Seahawks. The 4 wide receivers are in, which would indicate pass, and indeed Kubiak is in the shotgun. A quarterback draw, and Kubiak stays on his feet down to the 26-yard line.
Now, if I had to run the play myself, I'd probably been a little quicker. Well, another 6 or 7 yards.
Yeah, with your knees, I'm sure you'd have made it to at least the 10-yard line.
But that was a smart call. Again, he didn't take a chance of losing yardage.
It'll be about a 42-yard attempt, depending upon what they allow, usually 6.5 to 7 yards.
And that also forced Seattle to take their last time out, which is very important at this stage of the game.
Our telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited. We have 1 minute remaining in the game.
And while we got a little time, I want to congratulate and wish our best, I guess, to a couple of Seahawks. Charles Young, who is retiring after 13 years in this league, and I love those offensive linemen, but I love those offensive coaches. Ray Pacheska, he's retiring after 40 years of coaching, and he's done an excellent job with this offensive line, as well as in the past with the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams, St. Louis. He's coached some great players in his day also.
I had the pleasure of working with both of those guys. The 1 year I spent with the Rams. Charlie Young is certainly he's a player's guy too. You know, the teammates love him. He's worked hard over the years. And Ray Pacheska, hey, what can you say? The man's been around a long time. He's a good friend of Chuck Knox because he's a good coach to start with.
Carlos can win this, it would seem. The Seahawks have no more timeouts. It will be a 43-yard attempt. The holder is Kubiak. Keith Bishop, a good long snapper. He missed earlier from 34. Looking good, and it is good.
All right.
Rich Carlos, who missed from 34 earlier, hits from 43 yards, and the Broncos, with 55 seconds remaining, have taken the lead one more time.
That was a bottle of soda pop, wasn't it, Joe?
And John Elway, one would have to speculate, should the Broncos go on to get into the playoffs, would be able to go. You think he wasn't relieved? Rich Carlos. Had to wait a while, had some height on that one.
I can do it, Coach.
Well, kickers are something, aren't they?
Hey, and one of the all-time greats that played with this Denver team, I know he would have loved to be in that situation, was Jim Turner. Jim is third, of course, behind Jan Stenerud and George Bland on the all-time list, and we worked together with the Jets. But Jim just loved and thrived on these kind of situations. That's the kind of kicker you want, the guy that wants a kick in the tight situation.
I read somewhere where Stenerud was calling it quits now after a fantastic career. If such is the case, I certainly wish him well. He's been a good friend over the years, and what a remarkable career. Remind you once again, the Denver victory tonight does not put them in the playoffs. They are going to need help. They're going to need it. A Cincinnati win over New England or a Cleveland victory over the New York Jets to get them in as a wild card. We'll be going down to Los Angeles after tonight's game. Bring you the Raiders and the Rams on Monday night. Carlos bangs one. That's going to leave Seattle in quite a hole. Gene Robinson brings it out, but he only gets out to the 14-yard line. Again, the situation we spoke of a moment ago. The Broncos with a victory tonight, and it looks fairly comfortable at the moment. They are still going to need help. The defending champions of the Western Division of the AFC at 13-3 a year ago can get back into the playoffs if Cincinnati can win or if Cleveland can win over New England or the Jets. Craig from the shotgun, high snap. And Craig had to get rid of it. 47 seconds. And of course, there is no more tomorrow for the Seahawks of '85. A loss tonight, and they will finish it .500 for the season. An interesting year. Down to the final game, still playoff spots are open. Central Division of the AFC still up for grabs. AFC still up for grabs. We're in the final weekend. That was a fine catch. Aaron Walker, he knew he was going to get pounded, and he still held on to it.
I think that was a fine catch, but it was almost blindfolded. I think he was as surprised as anyone in the stadium that he caught the ball.
That by Dave Craig to stop the clock, which had ticked down to 27 seconds remaining in the game. No timeouts, of course. Our ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years, and by exceptionally smooth Michelob. Where you're going, it's Michelob. And by De Beers, the name that stands for diamonds. A diamond is forever. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Joe, they can't mess around with a 5 or 10 yard pass. They got to throw this ball 15, 20 yards downfield easily.
Yeah, there's time's running out. No timeout. Denver giving this.
Walker again. Walker to the 47-yard line with 21 seconds remaining and another Seattle first down. And Seattle keeps it alive. Right. Norm Johnson, by the way, has not had a good year. And Norm Johnson can kick the ball a considerable distance. One would suspect much farther than Rich Carlos. I would think that he would be in a practical situation even at the some 55 yards out. His career best, Norm Johnson, the Seattle Seahawks place kicker, is 54 yards. His best this year is 51. Craig knocked away by Mike Harden. Could have perhaps intercepted that, but he was making certain that that pass did not get to Largent. And there's Norm Johnson. Had a tremendous year a year ago, was the Pro Bowl kicker in the AFC. 14 seconds. Seattle has no timeouts.
Which would indicate they really have to try to even possibly think about throwing the ball to the end zone. Hopefully there's a penalty that will stop the clock, or the guy will come up with a catch.
Either that. They either
can't stop the clock.
Get one to the sidelines and get it out of bounds. If they catch anything over the middle, the clock's going to run out. But if they get the ball going out of bounds, they can save it and maybe try the field goal.
They need, realistically, to pick up about 15 yards and kill the clock at the same time. Randall Morris. There might have been an opportunity had Morris been able to hold on. 9 seconds now remaining.
I've seen more drop passes in this game tonight than I've seen in any game this season.
Well, if he would have caught this ball, you still would be looking at roughly a 55-yard field goal. Not that's impossible under these conditions. It's indoor stadium.
Yeah, well, they have another play left anyway. It wouldn't be 55 if they completed a 5-yard, 10-yard pass the next play out of bounds. So many drop passes tonight. What is it, lack of concentration or just bad hands?
3rd and long, 3rd and 10. 9 seconds remaining. Down the sidelines goes Eric Lane. And there will be an opportunity for Norm Johnson. The ball is marked at the 37-yard line. It will be a field goal attempt of over 50 yards.
They've changed it to about...
They have. They moved it to the 35-yard line. So we're looking at a 53-yard field goal attempt. Certainly he's capable of making it. It officially will be 52 because it is inside the 53-yard marker. No, it was so close. Many of the fans thought it went through. Johnson missed by about a foot as time ran out on Seattle. And Denver, they have more lives than a cat. They stay alive. Well-played football game. A fun football game. A typical Denver football game. And a typical John Elway night, only in that he also provided a 400-yard game tonight. Seattle Seahawks. The Denver Broncos will await the play over the weekend in the AFC East. Hit the goalpost. And they'll be looking back at that for a long time to come should Denver get in the playoffs and advance. The island of Oahu, with its familiar landmark Diamond Head, is today much as it is year-round, an exotic paradise for fun, play, and relaxation. And here in Hawaii for the past week, 84 of the NFL's finest players have been gathered for today's annual AFC-NFC Pro Bowl. The Raiders' Marcus Allen is one of them.
Say hello to your mothers out there. Come on. Say hello to your mother. I don't like you either.
While Allen worked the beast this past season, he worked NFL defenses for a league-leading 1,759 yards. Allen's grace and fluidity of movement is more than offset by one of the NFC's quarterbacks, Jim McMahon. McMahon, who has turned the headband into a fashion rage more widespread than the wide-shouldered look, is the Chicago Bears' down-in-the-dirt working man's quarterback, and he led his team to a 46-10 victory over New England 1 week ago today in Super Bowl 20. Welcome to Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, where today we'll watch the 16th AFC-NFC